Ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell by the flicker of our lights, intermission is coming to an end. Please remember to turn in your bounties, pick up your loot at the postmaster, and return to your seats in an orderly fashion. Please be aware of the emergency exits to your left and to your right, and enjoy the show.
Fire.
So, what's up, everybody? We are back. It is September now, which is crazy. We're like literally 2/3 through this year, and we are going to basically jump in where we left off. We've got our guest returning, Teddy. Welcome back, sir. You are muted, I think, right now.
You're muted, Ted.
He is muted.
Ted's muted.
Part 2. Thank you for having me back.
Indeed. Part 2, we are back. We got the regular hostess with the mostest over there, the ninja, who's going to host and run, but he's got a busy schedule. So we're glad we got him tonight. The Thursday works out because this might not have happened otherwise. So timing sometimes works for the best.
Very happy. Flight in the morning, but was able to still make it, and the flooding did not stop my flight, thankfully. So I'm here with the homies. I wanted to do
excited?
this.
Give us break us off a little preview of the remix as the case.
Yeah, what are you doing this weekend? Can you tell people what you're doing?
Yeah, we're doing the Last Stand Media live show, so it'll be good. It's gonna be themed kind of with the team. Then Saturday will be the event, and will be your first time. Your boy will be on stage and talking to the people. So the theme is gonna be greatest games of all time, and I'll give you a sneak preview in the sense that everybody does not know ahead of time what the other person is going to present. So we have 10 minutes to present, and then it's going to be kind of, Travis will appreciate this. There will be a little bit of a Comedy Central roasting vibe to pick apart. Yeah, like this is Travis's bag.
I will definitely have to check this one out.
They could have booked me.
Yeah, they should have booked. Like this is literally, so I got my choice. I've never used PowerPoint before, so that was an experience learning, doing stuff. So that was that, but feel pretty good about it, And then from there, after that 10 minutes is up, the audience will then vote on who made the most compelling argument for the greatest game of all time.
So how about this? You probably had to pick between a couple, so it's a tough decision. Don't tell us yours. Tell us 2 of your top ones you didn't pick.
Oh, good. Okay.
Destiny 2.
Destiny 2.
I mean, it's a life changer. It's got to be somewhere on a lot of people's lists.
Probably didn't get picked, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's so many games. BioShock's up there. Man, it became down to impact and also I try not to say because it came down to impact, and it came down to there was another one besides that. I actually went way back. You know what I mean? I went way back, and surprisingly, which was
Bubble on NES, right?
I'm surprised not that far back, but Combat Evolved was in the mix for a little bit for me. I remember that was in the mix a little bit for me just for the impact and what it did, but I had to make tough decisions. I had to really challenge myself on why. So it's not going to be too much of a surprise for people that know me, but at the end of the day, it's going to be, I'm going to do it in such a way that I hope y'all going to be like, okay, yeah, he presented it well. So we'll see. I'm excited.
What are your 2 that you didn't pick?
That sounds like a fun assignment.
Yeah, it was. Well, I told you, Combat Evolved was one. BioShock was another one. Yeah.
What about you, gentlemen? Like, give me a few top games. Doesn't have to be in any order specifically. Just like quick list that may pop in your head. Just like top games for you guys all time, because I don't know specifically if everybody's heard them at some point.
Putting together a PowerPoint about my favorite video game and arguing why it is sounds
kind of fun.
Sounds like something I would do on my spare time. I feel like I already have a PowerPoint for why Halo 2 is a perfect
I made a
video
PowerPoint with
somewhere.
Yeah. It's like, you guys probably have done that. I made a PowerPoint for like vacation excursions with like friends that we were traveling with to like go through them all. I like researched them all, made a PowerPoint. We looked at it on a friend's TV. They all laughed at me, but it was fine. So,
Trav, I was thinking about you, bro. Like this event is perfect for you. It screams to your personality, who you are. You're a showman. You're hilarious. Like I literally was like, wish I was Travis right now. What would Travis do? Like
WWTD.
Yeah,
you needed a little WWTD bracelet.
And then
remember this next time Colin's hiring. I'll make my last stand with y'all next time.
You about to get the bag. Let's go. No, we'll continue, sir. Continue.
Hey, I get one of those Shure mics, don't I?
Yeah.
Get hooked up.
Savage. Pure savage.
Sorry, the roasting is already coming
Yeah,
out.
it's too natural. It just believe me, I got crapped on Twitter in one day, so you can take one quick comment.
I think Halo 2 is a perfect video game, and I could make a PowerPoint presentation of why it is for many, many reasons. But for me, the reason I've never given a 10 to any game on IGN in my reviews is because 10 is masterpiece, and it means a game. To me, it means, and also I this is how I do my game of the year selection as well. It has to be the game that has the most impact on the community and makes like the biggest footprint. And I look for games that like are changing the industry, which doesn't happen every year. It happened last year with Half-Life Alyx, which should have been Game of the Year. And
heard amazing
I think
things.
Hades is also amazing.
Oh,
but like
Hades is so good.
Alyx, I feel like Half-Life Alyx literally is going to be like remembered in like the spectrum of games as in terms of what it did for VR.
Yeah. Nice.
But Halo 2, man. That's the one I would do a presentation on.
Nice.
I also feel like there might not be a lot of representation from the Xbox fam at the Call Last Stand, so I would want to choose an Xbox.
There you go.
The thing that you would appreciate is part of the rule set is when you made your submission, you had to be like, because there was one neutral person you're submitting to make sure that hasn't been taken already. That's the other thing too. So I was very, very fortunate.
Did yours get taken on your first try, or was yours open?
No, I was lucky. Yeah, mine was open. Yeah.
Nice.
Teddy, I'm curious.
Teddy, what about you?
So I always struggle with this question because there's so many different pieces of criteria that you can judge a game on. But Travis kind of hit the point that I was going to make, which is like, for me, it usually is the game that makes the most impact among either myself or the community, but also a game that is almost timeless. Like no game is truly.
Ocarina of Time. I can already tell by the prologue.
I'm not going to say Ocarina of Time because Ocarina of Time I think has aged poorly.
Really?
I mean, it's definitely one of those games that you could play today, and it's playable. Like it's clunky in some aspects, but it holds up. My pick is probably Breath of the Wild.
Really? Wow.
Because that game changed how open world games function, and since that point, almost 5 years ago, everyone's been copying that formula.
Genshin Impact.
A little bit.
Yeah,
they made a lot more money than Nintendo, sadly.
Think about every Ubisoft game before Breath of the Wild. It was a collectathon, and a pointless collectathon, unless you're an achievement hunter. Breath of the Wild was like, well, there's a thing over there, and there's a thing over there, and they're all meaningful in some way to different players. Whereas previously open world games were like, we're just going to sprinkle all this stuff around. So, and aside from all the other things that game did, that was just genius. It's not a perfect game in my opinion. I wouldn't even consider it a masterpiece. But it's just one of those games that I picked that game up and there's always something to do.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Respect. E.
Mine has still just been mine forever because of.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, you do. No, it's not. It's long before that.
Chrono
Trigger for me hits.
I bet you that one's going to be represented at the Call list.
I would hope so, depending on the people, but you never know. But for me, it's like I can still hear like the mute because the soundtrack's like on Spotify, and I went to go play a song. I'm like, yep, and it's been 20 years since I played that game, and I've never seen like if Square ever is going to do anything after they finish Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is going to be a decade from now, if they could do that in the Final Fantasy VII Remake style, which I know they will never do, but the way they have like the team up combat and everything they did in that, I was like, it would be amazing. But the way you had like the duo and the trio attacks and the different characters and traveling through time and just between the story, the music, the characters, and just the world, like Chrono Trigger for me will still be one of my top games for probably the rest of my life. And I mean, God of War is like game of my entire franchise for PS4, but Chrono Trigger, it's like it got me into RPGs. It got me into just so many different things it did to me. Personal impact, I guess. When you guys say impact, that one personally was just like that stuck. Like that was my SNES game and will probably be forever. Nice. So that's
a good pick.
Classic.
Never say never.
I respect all your picks except for Cogs, who didn't tell us what his was.
Thank you for me not ruining the show.
I know it, and you'll respect it when you figure it out later.
Oh, you do know it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Can't be Mass Effect.
Can't be.
So, as we took our little intermission, little levity to get everybody back into the show. This is basically part 2 of episode 164 as we are back from last week. We talked about basically everything for the Witch Queen, but not everything. We'll get to a couple pieces a bit later. But general run of show that I kind of want to go over with all of you guys that we didn't get to last week because we talked for 3 hours and I had to not make it a 5-hour show. We dabbled in Trials.
We didn't even make a dent.
Not really a big dent.
Show last week.
No. Trials of Osiris, full revamp coming, so we're going to go through the details of that. We've now had 2 weeks of seasonal loss. We actually get a little better feel of what's going on there. We can talk about anything else with Witch Queen, but I do want to talk about the Void 3.0 major piece we didn't hit last week because that is coming at the same time as Witch Queen, but kind of separate. And then this week, if there's anything with regards to Iron Banner, matchmaking, just anything you guys have been hearing, if we want to get to that. But the first piece is Trials of Osiris, and I kind of want to cover a couple pieces with regards to the revamp before Travis has an aneurysm. We'll start and we'll say, if you're a Trials novice, here's a quick breakdown of what to expect on September 10th, 2021. We want to make Trials more accessible, no matter your skill level or fire team size. We want to make Trials more rewarding, whether you're winning matches or earning reputation with Saint 14. We want to make Trials more engaging, testing out changes to elimination and reintroducing labs to Destiny 2. They said their goals is basically to get more people playing, doing something besides flawless or bust, feeling like they can win more often, feeling like the rewards are on par with other similar activities, and embracing movement, conflict, and resolution during a match. So the main changes that they're going to be doing is they're going to reduce the requirements of the Trials Access Quest to use Lifetime Valor, which actually is probably a bad thing to cut off some of those people who are, getting in there pretty quick and free. Trials now allows queuing and matchmaking without a full fire team. We want to allow more players to try the mode out and start earning rewards. Even if they didn't have a fire team, you can enter the playlist solo or with a friend, and matchmaking will fill the rest of your fire team. Freelance trials, which will be available in labs. Going flawless on your own will be hard to impossible, but I'm sure someone will do it. They also said Trials now requires the annual expansion to play. Currently, it's Beyond Light up until Witch Queen. Upon Witch Queen's release, then you will have to own Witch Queen, just the expansion, not the season passes, but just the expansion to play Trials. Rule set changes. I don't think I need rewards and reputation. We'll get to later. I think that's the big stuff that I know Travis wants to talk about. So let's start there. I know the big one for matchmaking. Travis, you're on deck. I know you're champing at the bit. Sorry. Take it away.
You got it.
I'm learning.
Yeah. So first I want to say I'm really glad that Trials is getting some love. I think no matter how you feel about matchmaking, and I'm probably on the unpopular side of this opinion, but no matter how you feel about it, I think it's clear Trials isn't working as it exists right now, and it needs work really bad. And it has basically since they relaunched it, and they've tried some stuff, and it's not really worked. And I think the biggest issues have been there's not really any incentive to play it. It's not rewarding unless you go flawless. And in the process of going flawless is painful. Cheating is a plague. It's not rewarding. There's just lots of problems with it. So I'm glad that they're tackling it. That's the first thing I want to say before I get into why I'm a little nervous about some of these changes. The second thing is that I think every change they announced, except for matchmaking, is a really great idea. And I include gating Trials behind the season pass in that. I think that needed to happen. Because cutting Trials off and putting it behind a free, putting it on the other side of the paywall means that it has to be limited in what you can actually do there and what the sandbox can include, and the rules and the maps that they can, if they have any exclusive maps, which I think part of the reason they haven't added maps is because Crucible and Trials are all part of the free-to-play sandbox, etc. So I think that's a good thing. I'm glad that they're doing that. And then all the other changes in terms of taking away the token system and making you earn rewards just by playing, fantastic. All of the anti-cheat efforts that they're doing, amazing. I hope that they work. I'm sure there will still be issues, but I'm just glad that there's like some serious action that we're seeing. And yeah, all basically the whole list you read off, aside from matchmaking, I think would have solved like 90% of the issues. The problem I have with matchmaking is A, I don't think it's going to solve the issue that they're trying to solve. And B, I think it's going to introduce more problems than it actually fixes in a major way, including making trials sort of just like a comp 2.0 playlist. Because for people who don't want to go flawless and they just want to take part in a competitive playlist, there's already a playlist for those people. It's called comp playlist. And it's actually pretty good.
But what rewards come from that?
What rewards? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you could say that about what rewards came from trials up until now.
I mean, there's unique weapons and armor, literally,
the message
that's not in comp. There's a whole slew of armor and weapons that's not in comp.
Yeah. My point is that they're adding a whole bunch of like ways to get rewards without going flawless now, and they could have just as easily done that to the comp playlist. Yeah. Okay. And that the point is that the comp playlist has a specific purpose, which is people want to be competitive, but possibly don't want to have the whole experience of trials, which is a much sweatier experience. It's put on the headset, have to communicate, have to find your own team, have to grind it out and get to that level where, after 5 wins, you're really sweating a loss, all that stuff. And they're basically saying, okay, well, people can still have that experience, but trials isn't only about that now. Now you can just go in and sort of like casually play and not get that experience. And to me, it kind of is like, okay, so you want the comp playlist to just combine with the trials playlist, except for it's segmented out in 2 separate types of players. It just doesn't seem very logical to me.
Okay.
What were you going to say, Cog?
I just not fight. I just want to get into the logic. I want to get into the pack. Because you're very passionate about this. And even though I disagree, I respect you, and I want to get where you're getting at. So for you, the fact that matchmaking is introduced ruins your experience because you feel that it's watered down because the other teams are kind of willy-nilly, or I guess my question is,
how does it affect me?
Right, because you could still, get your predetermined team with the homies and go slay. So I was just curious, like, is it a thing that you feel the overall,
so like the sanctity of trials,
the sanctity of the mode? Is it a sanctity thing?
It's both. It's one is it's the idea of trials of being that experience. It would be like if they said, hey, we're going to make a version of each raid that's match made, and all of the stuff that you have to do, like the communication, we're just going to take that out of the game mode because it doesn't really work for matchmaking. And then, you don't have to finish the raid, but you can get partway through and you'll get some of the rewards. And
okay. So
what I mean? Like if they introduced that, then people just wouldn't do that. So that's one thing. The sanctity of it is actually not really my main concern. My main concern is that they're giving up on what the idea of trials is. And trials is an idea that we know works because it worked in D1 the entire time that it was in D1. And I don't understand why they think that it's the success of trials has changed. It's that they changed trials and it's not good. Like if they just restored it to what it's supposed to be, then I think it would be just as successful. I think they definitely need to improve the player base, and I think matchmaking is going to do that 100%. But you know what else would have improved the player base? Crossplay, making the playlist more rewarding. Right. Making new maps, etc. Right. All the other changes that they're already making would have improved the player base. And so I think that doesn't change it. Also making the rewards something that you can get not from successive wins. I think that's perfect. Making it so that you can complete a card after 3 losses and get that 7th win is amazing. All of those changes that they're doing are really good and I think would have helped the player base. Matchmaking just sort of changes the idea of what trials is, and it makes me feel like they're giving up on trials. Like they're just like, all right, well, it didn't really work. Like we tried to fix it, and so now we're just going to sort of make it a comp playlist 2.0 where you can do this thing where you go flawless and go to the lighthouse, but that's not the main thing that we want you to go for anymore. That's not really like the goal anymore.
I guess the question is like, what has changed for the person who still looks to aspire to be flawless, right? What has changed? Like, has the reward, like, all right, what I'm trying to understand, I'm really, because
I got you.
Where I was similar to you was when D2 Vanilla came out with raids, right? When Leviathan came out, and I remember they had the Clan Ingram thing, and I'll never forget this. He remembers, like, I was so disgusted that I did the raid and I'm trying to get, what was the hand cannon that had the rampage, whatever. You know that hand cannon.
Nature of the Beast?
Midnight Coup.
Oh, yeah.
And Sins of the Past. Those were like iconic weapons from that raid. And I'll never forget someone in my clan who did not raid, right, went to Hawthorne and got the joy. So for me, I was like, how dare you? You did not even step foot in this thing and you're eating. Now, I know it's different. This is not apples to apples. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, do you feel the flawless experience is going to be watered down because you are the guy. You're the guy that goes in, you get the team, you get your coordinated thing. Like my feeling is, wouldn't you be happy that the majority are not sweaty, right? And that you still will have those matches where you're going to stomp because there's against match-made teams sometimes, right?
I mean, we don't know that.
Oh, that's your thing. Okay.
That's part of my thing is I think people are making assumptions that like, oh, the playlist will be big and it'll be filled with all these different type of fire teams and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it's just like, will it? Like, what if it's like the free? They talked about freelance. Like freelance could be a separate playlist, a separate matchmaking group. So it gives me a lot of questions. And there's two sort of buckets of problems I have. Okay. One is with the matchmaking experience, which right now we don't know anything about how it works. But my assumption is it's just going to match make every round, which that is like, that breaks the whole fantasy of trials of going flawless with a group of people because now you're matching with different teammates every team. So I saw somebody in the comments section said, how is LFG different from just matchmaking with people? The difference is LFG has a vetting process. You have to find people who are willing to go through the LFG process, which gives a little bit of a barrier of entry rather than somebody who clicked on a button and got into the match, which I think is a good thing because it means that it's somebody who's serious about playing 7 matches or at least 7 matches and trying to go flawless. It vets people for having a microphone, which I think is core. You wouldn't go into a raid. You wouldn't go into a raid with an LFG group that none of them had mics. So why would you do it with trials? Because it sort of requires.
This don't affect you.
It doesn't affect you if you're going into match. Again, I'm trying to address both buckets. One, the matchmaking experience, which if you're a matchmaker, I just think that at this point you're not really getting a trials experience. You're just getting comp. And they're calling it trials. It's just comp 2.0. Tell me what is different about the trials freelance playlist from the comp freelance playlist.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is we don't know how the matchmaking algorithm is going to be, right?
Correct.
So to your point, right, I guess, would it affect you any differently if you are pre-match made team that, you know, you did not match make, you got your homies and you're in a pool with, you know, people who are not, you know, who also are in teams. Like, if that is the case, is that okay for you? Is that because you're like, okay, these guys are going by the sanctity of the game, and I'm not fighting against, you know, Mitch Match squad, fire team squad, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that still give you that adrenaline rush that I'm going against that thing? You know what I mean?
So you're saying if it was three, again, it was. I'm asking like what Kag is saying. So if you were saying, If somebody's a 3, they'll only match up with 3s. Then if they're a mixed match of 1s or 2s, those only play 1s or 2s, however they're put together. And then solos are going to be tested in labs later, but that's
or a freelance playlist.
Yeah, for a freelance one. But
I'm saying if that happens, like, so the answer to your question of how it affects me is that I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it affects me in a bad way because why would you play in the ultra sweaty 3v3 matchmate groups if you could go flawless with a group of 2 that's usually like on a carry team? Like, does this affect the 3v3 playlist? Because why would you go through a super sweaty experience if you're good enough? You and, you know, me and Teddy can get into a group with a random and get with these matchmate playlists and win 7 matches. So does it negatively? And like, what is the point of that? Like, why do I need matchmaking in trials if I have the comp playlist and I could have just put weapons in there, or maybe even the trials weapons? I just don't understand the use for this. It sort of is just taking it. The other thing is,
but I mean, you take something. Sorry, I was just
if they do the other thing and say, okay, we're going to matchmake and we're going to keep you together until you complete a card. Okay. Then you've got the problem of, you know, what if somebody leaves partway through? There's no vetting for like they're dedicated to playing through all the matches. They just clicked on a button and they could leave after 3 matches, and then you're like, oh crap. And if you're switching around between teams, then you don't get that whole climbing the mountain experience where like I'm with my squad and we're getting, It just it feels so distant from what Trials is. I don't know why they're giving it the same name. It might as well be a different game.
Wow, this is
Honestly,
spicy.
Isn't
Wow,
it though?
this
Like,
is
what does it have in common with the Trials experience if it's a match made mode where you don't get on mic and you don't talk to your people and you don't even stay with the same team for 7 matches?
You can still do that. That's not being taken away from you. You're acting as if it's being removed from you, that you can only play with, the match-made squad. You can still go with your tactical squad with the communications and hot mics and good.
But why would I? If I can get to why would I if I could go to the lighthouse with just Teddy and me, and it's a lot easier experience.
So why would you be upset that you're smashing people and still going to the lighthouse?
Because now Trials is dead.
How is it dead when it's more people?
because it's not Trials anymore. Now it's just Teddy and I going through a comp playlist where at the end we get to go to, you know what I mean? Like the whole, it's just like if they told you, okay, you can either do a raid or we'll break down the raid into each encounter and you can match make each encounter and it's way faster and way easier and it's less sweaty. You don't have to organize a crew. And then all of a sudden that whole experience of going into a raid with 6 people and doing the whole thing is dead because why would you ever do that when there's this alternative that's way easier? But then there's, you know what I'm saying? And then you go, damn it, but I want to do a 6-person raid, but that just isn't a thing that really people do anymore. Or why would you do it?
Okay, like take for example something like, and I haven't played Apex in ages, but that's a 3-person team, right? I'm asking. Like, I'm going to play kind of dumb here because I haven't played Apex, but only a few times, and it's been a while. Can you do matchmaking in Apex?
Yes.
I don't play Apex.
Okay.
But Apex isn't the same experience. You don't have to win 7 Apex matches to get
But isn't the intensity of any Apex match just as important as 5, 6, 7 when you're up at the top? It's like, I know it's one, like, it's a set of rounds, but it's still, you could get matched up with a set of people and it's going to still have a lot of weight on how your match goes, which could be, if they win that Apex match as a match made 3 team versus, it could be 2s, could be 1s, could be 3s. That's one of those things. Like, I don't know. It's like Apex.
That's really not apples to apples because it's 2 separate playlists, one for comp and one for casual. And if you go into comp with a match made team, then, unless you're low ranked, if you're super high ranked and you do that, you're taking a big risk because you're going to go against people who are stacked and you're probably going to lower your ranking and that sort of thing. Trials doesn't have a system like that.
Well,
right?
It's
like a card. It's a card-based experience, and they're sort of saying, okay, so we're going to remove the card-based experience because the point is not to go flawless anymore. We're going to remove the having a consistent fire.
They didn't say the point's not going for. You going extra with that part. Come on now. You go extra with the part. The point is not to go flawless anymore.
That's what he said. That's what he read. That's what Abantis read. Right?
You can still go flawless in it.
They don't want everyone going flawless or bust and resetting that card once they take one loss.
I think you're taking that literal, like they're just removing it, like flawless is gone from the game.
But it's not the point of the match made playlist. They said it's like next to impossible, but a few people will do it. Or
right, for the people, for the people who choose to do matchmaking. Correct.
Yeah, if the point is not to complete the card and go flawless, if the point is not to stay with your team,
I think you're overstating. They didn't say the point is not. They did not say you're putting words in their mouth. They did not say the point is not.
I'm not putting words into their mouth. I'm interpreting what they have created.
They are saying trials, flawless, or bust. That's or. That doesn't mean that we are removing flawless from the game. But everything is a match-made thing.
The whole concept of flawless or bust is that you're with your crew and you're going to go flawless or bust. And now that's not a thing. You're not with a crew. You're with random people every match, is my assumption.
I was like, the biggest thing that this does
is do that.
Yeah, I was like, your experience likely will not change, or maybe the lower cards could get easier. But if match-made teams get a chance to play the mode, this, in Bungie's eyes, is a way to let people dabble in a mode they otherwise see as an impossible wall to entry. The average person looks at Trials and says, I can't play it at all, period. There's no way for me to try this thing. I don't know enough.
They say the same thing about raids. They say the same thing about raids.
Yeah, and see how many people don't play those.
The average group looks at a raid and goes, 5 friends together to figure out these puzzles. That's insurmountable.
I wish there was matchmaking in those too.
But the community behind raids is really like adamant. They're like, that's part of the experience.
There's a fair amount of people that ask for matchmaking in raids.
They are, but they haven't added it because Bungie has itself defended the mode and said, we like the idea that you have to get on a mic, and nobody wants to do a raid with like 3 randoms that don't have a mic. Like, that's awful.
Right.
It's just a terrible experience.
Right.
I feel the same way about Trials.
I was like, and that's fair, but
we gotta get Teddy in here because we did not let
Just
Teddy
call it
get
something
anything
else, man. Just call it's not Trials anymore. Just call it like Comp 2.0 with the Trials guns in there.
Where are you at this on Teddy? Like,
we gotta get Teddy.
I'm curious.
Teddy's.
Forcado said it in chat. Raids require communication. Some like PvP matches.
I would say that guy has not played Trials then.
I actually know who he is, and I guarantee you he has. I've just seen him enough.
Then he should know it requires communication. You're literally going to go into a
you can follow people
comms.
as a group, stick together, and then shoot the other people in the head. It's not like, hey, I've got this ball that I have to dunk over here at this exact time.
The mechanics, right?
The mechanics are different than like communication. Will communication take you to another level? Absolutely. And that's the difference. Is
I disagree. I disagree with your premise that it is. I think you're oversimplifying the level of complexity that is involved in Trials at a high level. I'm not saying that.
No, I've
literally your experience with raids is much higher than your experience with Trials, and so you're oversimplifying it a little bit. It does require communication.
No, I fully get that. That's what I'm saying. Is what I like. I sat there and played with 2 people that are like 10 stages beyond anything I ever will be probably in this game. Like, and I listened to them communicate. It is like, it's insane what they can do with just words to be like, you're like, I know what everything is going on right now. That is a different level. And that is the same thing as people who in raids are like, hey, do this now, switch this over here, cool. But in a different scheme, can people go into a PvP setting as a trio and have some success in this mode that previously was inaccessible to them?
They can, and it's called comp.
But those are not the same. Comp is not the same rule set.
I was like, it's a different rule set. It's a different set of rewards, and
it's a completely different separate rules.
Anyway, okay, Teddy, I'm going to be quiet now, Teddy.
It's a comp 2.0 playlist.
We gotta get Teddy in. We've talked.
I got a lot to tackle here.
There you go.
So when Trials, let's back up a little bit. When Trials released in 2015, the gaming landscape was very different. There was nothing quite like Trials, and I still think it's one of the most unique game modes any company's ever made. And when they were telling us they were going to bring it into D2, they said when they were baking it, we don't want to port the exact same thing over. And that's exactly what ended up happening. For better or worse, they just ported essentially the same thing. But I think that the 2020 version of Trials does not work in the modern gaming landscape for a couple reasons. One, the gamer's attitude towards accessibility and availability of attempting something in a game has completely shifted. And Bungie has made that very clear across the entire game that they want people to be able to approach activities. And Trials and Raids are these 2 things that are very difficult to approach. Excuse me. To your point about communication, I can jump into almost any PvE activity with the regular people that I play with. And unless it's like a grandmaster, we can generally not communicate at all and still have success because we've played with each other enough times that we know, generally speaking, what the other person is going to do or what they're thinking. I can usually predict what my raid squad is going to do in most situations without me having to say anything or them having to say anything. I think PvP is different though. The variability of PvP and the experiences that you have in PvP are vastly more complex than a PvE encounter that is, generally speaking, a static situation that isn't. The variability is a lot lower. Like, I know that this enemy will do X thing when this happens, but in PvP, that's not the case. Like,
that's not the case.
And when you brought up Apex, I was going to say that Apex is infinitely more variable than Trials, Osiris, or Destiny PvP because no 2 games are the same in that game. Like with Trials, once you understand the map and once you played enough rounds, you kind of end up doing the same stuff over and over, but it's just changing because of what your opponents are doing. Destiny is a very reactionary game.
Correct.
Sorry, I'm trying to like back paddle.
No. We said a lot. I know.
There's a lot. So all the changes that they said, I'm for, with the exception of the skill-based matchmaking, which I guess we kind of have to see how that works. And I'm like 50-50 on the solo queuing thing. And let me explain why.
Break it down.
So they're introducing a freelance playlist in the labs playlist and not in the trial, and they're implementing solo in the trials playlist. But I'm assuming this is a temporary change because they're probably going to do something like Iron Banner.
Or you can
only solo queue or they want to make it so you can only solo queue in the freelance playlist, but they're in order to get a larger player pool to test this, they're going to let it go in the normal game mode, and maybe they will enable it just if it works, right? The problem with trials now versus the Destiny 1 version is in Destiny 1, you could just play the card, and even if it was sweaty, because SPMM in Destiny 1 was even worse than what we have now, you were still rewarded. You were still rewarded. Like the bounties gave you, the drop, and your time was rewarded for what you did. But the current version of Trials does not have that. It's very much you either go flawless or you bust.
Right.
Another thing that they've really, really, really hammered with Destiny 2 compared to 1 is the rich get richer. In Destiny 1, if you were a good player and you had the best gear, you were always going to beat worse players. And Battlefield is another genre that has suffered this problem for many iterations of the games. They've addressed this in more recent versions of Battlefield, where leveling up doesn't necessarily get you better equipment or perks or guns that make you more powerful, because then it de-incentivizes a new player who picks up the game, or when the game is free on Games for Gold or Epic Games Store or something, it makes it harder to experience that. And so I think they're definitely addressing that with this concept of solo queuing, because they want this mode to be approachable, but they're not just giving away the loot. If you want the adept weapons, you still have to go flawless.
Correct.
I think they've really hit the mark with adept weapons, not just in the PvE.
I was just about to say the rewards
with trials. They're not super overpowered, but if you're a top tier PvE or PvP player, they do make that enough of a difference that you feel like, okay, I got this really good SMG in trials, and I got a good roll on it, and it's adept. This is totally worth it. Versus the normal version. But it's not like this. It's not like D1 where, I got this weapon that is just so much better than everyone else's, and the average player cannot obtain this.
Shout out to the summoner.
Right. They're not handing out this stuff. I think to Travis's point, the solo experience doesn't ruin my experience, because if you go into a comp game right now with a 3-stack, you can still match solo people.
Yep.
I don't know why I think people just don't know the freelance playlist exists sometimes, because it is like a small node on the
or it's
director,
probably 1 and 2s, but
yeah. Generally speaking, when you go up against a 2-stack and then a solo player in comp, when you're a 3-stack,
I did a lot of comp this weekend too. This week.
You're gonna mop the floor with them because they can't communicate. Like you're not always. Like there's definitely some people that are cracked and you're just gonna lose. But generally speaking, you're gonna win because you have an advantage, because you can talk and you can say, that guy just picked up heavy, he's got this weapon, or that guy just killed me here, he's standing here, versus the players can't. Now they're kind of addressing this, which is kind of cool, because they just enabled chat on crossplay.
Yep.
In game, and Destiny's
literally today.
Chat. Yeah, it was today. Destiny's chat, in-game chat feature. I know no one that's actually used it, but it's there, right? So
come on, Trav, that's in-game chat. Come on.
I think they're lowering the barrier.
The disgust, I love it. Look at the disgust.
I have a comeback here.
I think they're lowering the barrier to entry. That's the goal with this decision, whether we like it or not. Their goal is to lower the barrier to entry so that the average player can try trials, because the playlist is so low, and it might be a problem when we play. But I'm not the right person to ask, because I play trials very casually.
Okay.
I go flawless occasionally, and usually only if it's if there's a flawless reward.
Let me ask you a question, John. With these proposed changes for you personally, right? Do you feel when you got your 3-stack or whatever, and let's just say, you do find out that if there's some way that you can find out that who you are playing against is literally match made. I guess what I'm struggling to understand with Travis, why is that an issue? Shouldn't it be yo, we getting the, what I'm saying? One of these steps towards the mountaintop, right, got me one of these things because to me, the hardcore that I deal with, they get frustrated because they say, yo, all I'm playing is sweaties all day. And then they it ruins my experience. And I understand his point with all the other things will increase the pool. He's right. Travis is right about that. All the other things still will increase the pool.
And I think matchmaking will get credit for the stuff that the other fixes are actually.
And that's valid.
Working.
And that's valid. That is the part I'm with you. I am with that part.
But again, some people have no way to even... Some people still will see that and say, hey, you need a team of 3. And they don't even have a way to go just dabble. Hey, maybe I'll try this thing. And that's why Go ahead.
Right.
LFG.
No, and we got to be real too. E. This is where I'm with you. We got to be real too. That let's be real. Trav, you're a beast, right? If I come in there with my 1 point KD, right? And the first thing dudes is like, yo, trials report. I had a dude, I think y'all was in a party chat and I was clowning somebody in my class. Like, let me see your trials report. Like, oh, you ain't even been to the lighthouse. So what you talking about? And I'm like, damn. Like they pulled up my whole resume and was like, they don't even want to deal with the kid. So you understand, like, is that you guys are so good. And for the average guy, he's getting shown the door. He's not getting into the club. He is not the LFG for certain dudes. It's almost the equivalent of the Gallahorn days for certain dudes if they resume ain't right. That's all I'm trying to say. So my last point to say back to Teddy and Trav is just that, I would think that, if out of the 7-win card, you've got 2 to 3 of those were match made, part of me was like, yo, we went flawless, you know what I'm saying? And we ain't really had to kill ourselves every single match. Wouldn't it be a fun experience? Or you still like, nah, I want every match to be the best of the best for the spirit of competition? That's my question.
It would be fun if Trials was in a good place right now. So you guys have repeatedly said, why does solo queuing affect you? It doesn't change your experience. And I just fundamentally disagree with that. And here's why. If Trials is broken right now, if it doesn't work, there's 2 ways to fix it. One way is to look at the competitive experience you're curating and try to make it better. The other way is to give up and not make it the same experience it was. And so it's not that one solo queuing affects me because it changes the mode. It's that it means that they don't have a plan to fix the experience for 3-player stacks. That they're giving up on that. That they're saying, hey, that experience that we originally were building, that was a 3-player competitive mode, is now not our priority. We tried to fix it, we couldn't, and so now our solution is going to be to pivot and to create this alternate experience that isn't that thing that it was. And so to me, it's saying the trials that we tried to do, we give up, and now we're going to just try this other thing. So it does affect me because it means that they're not going to fix the core experience. And so maybe I'll get a few easier matches.
So how do they fix it in your eyes?
If they...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. How do they fix it?
Let's say they keep got some stuff to say. Okay. I have thoughts. I mean, I've said on 1 million episodes of this show and Fireteam Chat all the things I think they need to do to fix Trials. And
I'm sorry, I missed a couple of those. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but no, it's totally fine. But I think Teddy knows where I'm, because I talk to him about this all the time.
I kind of disagree with that because they've...
Get him, Teddy.
With these changes, so one of the things that they're doing is they're reducing the timer to 1 minute 30, which is what they did in D1 as well. Yeah, they did it in D1 as well, right? And then they also said that on certain weekends in the Labs playlist, not just the solo Labs playlist, but the Labs match-made 3-player playlist, they're going to have objectives and different things like that. And so I think they are trying to refine the experience because I think straight elimination, the original vision of Trials, doesn't work anymore. The Destiny player base has gotten way smarter since Destiny came out. Like, players understand things. Players are watching YouTube videos. Players are watching these top-level streamers. And so Destiny has evolved into this game where it's very reactionary. You're very passive, and that's where Trials needs to change because Trials is all
hanging
about
in the back of the map, wait for
someone to poke.
Why don't they change that then?
They're trying.
They're working on it. They're literally working on it in labs.
They're working on it.
Yeah.
But for now, they're trying to open up, like they're trying to lower some barriers to entry. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. The labs introduction of objectives and different things like that is their attempt to solve this. I think it's a multi-staged fix. I don't think it's like here's one patch that's done and like they're gathering data. That's what Labs was designed to do, was to get data. I hope
you're right. I hope you're right that they are, but I just don't know if you can get the. I don't know if you can get it back in the bottle. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
let me
think of this. Like, it's all the ways that this new model affects the old way, right? So let's say I'm playing Trials by myself. My homies are busy. They have loved ones unlike me, right? And so they've got stuff to do this weekend.
I love you.
Right?
We love you.
They've got loved ones who aren't Teddy, who almost never plays with me.
We played last night.
We played together last night until like 2:30.
He forgot you quick. Right, he over you, Teddy. He over you.
Moved on. Let's say you're doing that. If I try to find LFG, I don't know if you've ever tried to find an LFG on Destiny for Trials, but it's already pretty hard. Now it's going to be impossible. because all those
Why?
people that would normally do LFG are going to be in matchmaking.
No,
So
but
if I want that experience,
no, come
they're
on,
gonna
stop.
be in
Stop.
matchmaking. You think they're gonna do an
Because
LFG?
we know
Really?
if you jump in matchmaking, you ain't going to the lighthouse like that with all the randomness that you got to do on every. Come on,
Can we at least admit that the playlist is going to be affected? The amount of LFGs is going to be affected by the existence of
yes. The
matchmaking.
volume.
Negatively.
I would agree.
There's
I would
going to
agree.
be fewer. I don't mean dead. I just mean fewer.
But you also
But
don't know potentially if the barrier to entry is lowered and people try this, then they might actually be willing to actually go look into it deeper. If somebody's like, hey, I tried trials, the matchmaking was like hit or miss. Is there more I can do? And if somebody goes then to go look deeper into trials, then they may find that type of thing as well.
That is one possible outcome, but I think we can agree. So is mine. Mine's also a possible outcome. And if there's fewer people on LFG, which I think we can all agree, at least in some cases, there probably will be, then that means that the barrier of entry is actually higher for match-made teams because now the pool is smaller and there's going to be more competition to get onto those teams. Oh, your KD's not above a 1.8, not above a 2.3. Well, then you're not going to get on my team because now it's more competitive in the LFGs that do exist. It's listen, guys. I'm sort of being devil's advocate with this because I care about this mode.
You be a sanctity.
I care about this mode.
You sanctity.
But
you sanctify.
Like, you're a little
everybody
dug in
keeps saying
on this
that
one.
to me that I'm a sanctity guy. I'm not a sanctity guy. I just want this mode. I believe in this mode. I think that it can exist, and I think they've already told us they're going to implement most of the fixes that would have fixed it. And I don't think matchmaking is going to be the silver bullet everyone thinks it is. I think it's going to introduce more problems than it's actually fixing.
For the LFG community. You're concerned for the LFG community of trials that they are, woe is them, that they will not be able to find another 3.0 KD.
I'm concerned for lots of different parts of the community, but I could see the culture of
not the biggest, it seems. Not the biggest part who ain't playing the damn game. That's the part. Like,
why would you go out of your way to assemble a dream team if you could go to the lighthouse any other way?
But you're assuming
You're talking about
the lighthouse.
you're talking about the 5% of players right now who like much less play trials, and then the smaller piece of that who consistently go to the lighthouse. Bungie is trying to open this up to like another 40% possibility who might dabble in Crucible, who might see another thing on the director that they can actually go try without going outside of the game. And I think like the biggest thing that Bungie is trying to do is make more of their game accessible. Does this possibly alter your experience? Maybe. But also on the other side,
That's my point. My point is maybe. Like, I have concerns. I'm not saying matchmaking has killed trials. It's over.
You sound very
it's like you sound much more than like, hey, this might be a thing. You sound like trials gonna die.
Like this joint is dead. Like the passion you coming from, this ain't no I'm concerned. This is like, yo, they are messing with the purity of this mode. And you said they might as well slap comp on this joint. They might as well let Shocks run it. Bro, you ain't this. Don't give me this.
No, you said you may as well be comp. Yeah,
you said this is made of, bro. Come on now.
It might as well be. It's basically the same thing. It's comp. It's just comp 2.0. At that point, what's the point of having a separate playlist? But here's my point. And I'll let Teddy pick it up because I think Teddy was going to say some stuff that I agree with about solo queuing and all that, and he didn't get to it. I want to give it back to him.
Yeah.
But my thing is that I've already forgotten my thing. Sorry. I was going to say about the opinions I have.
Yes.
I say them passionately because I'm passionate about the mode, and also I make a living having opinions about things. I would be if I don't have opinions half-heartedly. I like state concerns and the voice of I like to be the guy who's like I don't know, maybe we should all look out for this. So that's all I'm saying.
Devil's advocate.
Have you guys thought about it? I'm that guy.
So the point that I'm going to turn your analogy kind of upside down. So you're comparing it to comp. But how many people are hitting legend in freelance comp? It's not a high number.
Talked about give them the data.
I couldn't tell you the number, but it cannot be a high number. Just speaking anecdotally.
Is that the goal of comp though? Is that the goal of that mode?
Before it was to get the weapon that they were introducing every season, the pinnacle weapon, but then they got rid of that. So now what do? You either do it for the powerfuls, which kind of don't matter anymore, or you're doing it to hit legend because not everyone has Unbroken.
Right.
Teddy, you're talking like a guy who doesn't enjoy playing comp, because you know what the actual purpose of comp is? It's not to go legend. It is to rank up to a level that you fit in on the skill-based spectrum and then play with people who are your peers. That's the point.
But that doesn't work.
If you're a mythic level, mythic 1, then you're playing with other mythic 1s, and your goal isn't necessarily to go to legends. It's to play with the peers who are at your relative skill level and try to get better by playing with them. That's the point.
Doesn't work
it's
like
not
that,
to hit
though.
legends.
I know
Dude, this is my point. Like, I'm saying, why doesn't that exist in Destiny? It should. But anyway.
It's because, it's because of the way
because the game is not ever going to be quite that MLG
It's
serious.
never going to be this esports thing that you want, bro.
It's
But
never
it
gonna
could be. It has a rank system. Why can't it be that?
Because it's the most unbalanced, broken weapon variable perk game out.
was like,
because-
And
just
now you sound like me. And now you sound just like
bro,
me.
I've given up on that pipe dream of the esport. It's just
And so has Bungie. And so has Bungie. That's my point.
But you acting surprised. You acting like you didn't know that. You knew this already.
Everybody hearing this? Everybody hearing this? He's agreeing with me now.
No, but you knew this already. This is not new information, right? This is something that we've screamed from the mountaintops that PvP and PvE should have been separated a long time ago. This is something we've all said. So at this point, Newrad, I think, said it in the chat. Like, to me, it's like, this is really the arcade shooter with some competitive elements. in some regards, it's not this purity, this bliss of one-on-one arena shooter like a Halo. There's levels to this, right? Because there's balance, there's map placement, there's so much things all over the place.
Like
but
they just introduced
like going for. But
they just introduced
I gave
like
up on that
8
pipe
new
dream a long
perks
time
this
ago.
season.
Cog, I agree with you on everything you just said. Trials is unbalanced. It's probably never going to be balanced.
That's PvP in general.
It's comp and PvP are probably never going to be competitive.
Correct.
And I think the most crucial point that we agree on is that Bungie has given up on trying to make it that.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
So I agree with all
we've
of
been
that.
there.
But do I have a right to be sad about the one part of Destiny's comp
I agree.
getting officially given up on? That's why I'm so passionate.
And I'll finish my thing. I'm sorry, Teddy, because this is a good meeting with Bill. Me and Travis are hugging it out right now. So like the thing is, where you are with that is how I feel with raids, right? So if this same thing happened to raids, then I would definitely understand the patch, because I'm like, damn, the sanctity of doing Vogue and doing King's Fall and that predetermined thing, you know, that meant something. I met people because of that, and that was my brother. And whoever, in your case, you met people, you went to the lighthouse, and that communication, the reactionary of all those variables of competition, right? That means something to you. I know where you're at. You know what I'm saying? So maybe then I would be like, okay, you know, I feel away. But I'm at this point now, they're never going to do it. And at the point, I don't want the mode to die. I just don't. I'd rather sacrifice
Neither do I.
a little bit of my purity for this thing to exist and more people can get a part of it. But Teddy, I am sorry. It is all you.
I 100% agree with you. I wish they would have gone the other way and tried it. But I agree that the mode had to evolve. It is not working as it currently is. And I said that at the top of this segment. And I 100% agree.
I just have two more kind of final points. So the first is to kind of address like why it's never going to be like that.
I'm just going to let you guys
You can't have a game that's approachable and accessible and competitive. Like that doesn't in modern gaming, at least. Like I would say I don't think so. Because
easy to pick up, hard to master. There's lots of games like that.
Yeah, but they're not Destiny.
Yeah.
Like I agree. The sandbox of Destiny is brutal. I think what you mean to say is that you can't have a game that has everything in it and is balanced. Like
look at something like Overwatch. Mm-hmm. That game is easy to pick up but hard to master. Or even Apex too, or Fortnite for that matter. Like there's nuance to those games, but they don't have the PvE element that Destiny has, which just it throws a wrench. So and so for that reason, and because of their core pillar design of they're never going to separate the two sandboxes, everything has to function exactly the same as it does in one or the other. I think it'll just never be that experience. My second thing that I wanted to say, so this is an anecdotal thing. There's two people that I play with regularly on Xbox, and now with crossplay, we can play it anywhere. And I would say they're pretty casual players, but they get on every night and they do everything, right? Like they look at the director and they go, okay, this is the thing I want to do. And they just knock that stuff out, right? And sometimes I'll play trials with them, but the experience playing with me, not that I'm like a good player, but just because my SBMM is so insane, they can't keep up.
Yeah.
But when they play with a third friend who doesn't get on as often, they actually have a good time, and they reasonably get to 3 wins, which is always their goal. They just want to get to 3 wins. They're not even trying to go flawless. They're like, oh, if we make it to 5, that's just a plus, right? And so
they have more fun without you. Sounds familiar.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm getting at. So now
That's a whole different bird, Cam.
with the solo queue system, they can duo queue together and still have that same experience. They're not trying to go flawless. If they go flawless, that's even better now. And now with the new system, they don't have to just bust after 3 losses. They could play 30 games, and out of those 30, if they win the 7, they get the 7 tier reward. And if they lose
they
the
could
other,
have done that without matchmaking, though.
No, they couldn't, because there's only 2 of them. There's only 2.
Oh, I thought you said they had a third friend.
They have a third, but he only gets on like every couple weeks. The 2 of them play every night together. So I think for players like them who are in the middle of the bell curve, it's perfect. Like that's what they're designing this for.
Yeah.
It's not for us. The change is not. This is the last point. Sorry, there's a third point. We're
the third final point.
The third
I know we do got to move.
The 4 of us are very privileged to have people that we play with regularly and communities that I can literally pick up my phone and be like, dude, come play with me right now. Or Discord message someone and be like, hey,
that is so not normal.
It is so easy for me to assemble a raid squad. It's a joke. Or even a PvP squad. Last night when we played Iron Banner, we already had a 6-stack, and I was like, Travis, come play Iron Banner with us. A 6-stack. We didn't lose a game, Travis. We just mercied every game. And
we did.
I think most people
do that in trials now.
Most people don't have that.
I already do
luxury.
it in trials.
All right, so why you pushing?
Continue. It's not fun.
Stop bitching.
I think the average player just doesn't have that. I try to view things from a normal player, right? Like, I'm not me who's doing every single thing in the game, and I have this network of people that I'm like, hey, let's go do the thing that I need to do, or hey, let's do the stupid thing that I'm not going to LFG some random triumph or some shit like that. Like, that's just not going to happen. Like, it's like, squad, let's go do this. Like, the homies, we gotta get this thing done. Or trials for that matter. Like, it applies everywhere in the game. So like, that's the final point I want to make. Like, we're privileged that we can call upon the community and get stuff done.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Look, it's rebuttal because I don't want this to go on.
Yeah, it'll go. I know we'll go on forever.
I totally want to understand where you guys are going from. I just wanted to voice my concerns, and I think I'm interested either way to see where this is going. And regardless, I'm glad they're changing something, because what they're doing right now isn't working.
I'm willing to make a gentleman's bet that the changes that they're going to introduce in are the changes coming this season or next season?
Next season.
Next season?
Oh, September 21st, right?
Literally next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the bet?
I'm willing to bet that the changes that they're introducing, they're going to take those changes or the things that they're doing, and this data that they're gathering is to validate the changes they're making for Witch Queen, and I think it's going to work in Witch Queen.
Really?
To some extent. I don't think it's going to be perfect, but it's going to be definitely better than what we're going to get this season. Because that's generally their cadence. They introduce something experimental like this. Mm-hmm. It's either to assess something, or they're validating changes that are already in the pipeline that they want to see if it's going to work or not.
Right. There's usually that half step before that full step.
So your bet with me is you think I'm going to bet against next season being better than this season.
Yes.
You think I'm going to take that bet against that?
Or that they won't change anything next season.
Or that they won't change anything.
They're just going to leave it the way it is right now, or when we get the changes in a week and a half.
Do you take that bet with Ted?
I would be careful because some of that stuff's in labs.
Show that I agree with almost everything that they're doing except for matchmaking. I think that other stuff is going to make trials a lot better, and then matchmaking will get credit for it. It'll be like, oh, look how accessible it made it. And it'll be like, well, I mean, now you could play on a card with 3 losses. Like, that alone makes it way more accessible because it means it's not as high risk. You don't get booted out every time you lose. Like that, like for the Paul Tassies of the world, that's all you needed to do to make Paul want to grind his 7 wins. Like the matchmaking isn't really...
Why my man had to catch that?
I'm sorry to call him out, but he actually... I talked to him on Fireteam Chat, and he was like, I'm excited for this because I like to play trials, but I don't go to...
I know.
But I was like, I mean, even for somebody like me, like, I have really crappy days and I have okay days at PvP, but I was like, there's a point if I'm like, hey, I'm sitting at home, it's late, there's nobody I know that's online right now, I can jump in and at least, like, I could goof around in a solo match made playlist or even just match made, and I might win a few rounds in between things and other stuff like that. And it's a way for me to get access to the game mode. I'm not going to get the best rewards. I'm not going to go flawless.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to get most of the entire weekend. But if I can get a few rounds in, maybe get that 3-win just because I'm solo, most of that playlist is still like unattainable at that level, but it's still something that I can get into. And I think that's what Bungie is going for most people.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You know,
if I were
wait, hold on.
Bungie, I would have released all of the patches that they're doing except for matchmaking first, and then seen if matchmaking was still necessary, because being able to play on a card that's lost is already huge for accessibility and for getting any rewards for people who don't go flawless. Crossplay improves the player base significantly. They're already doing a lot of stuff that fixes a lot of the problems of trials, making it more rewarding, making it less like sweaty and competitive. I wonder if they need the freelance playlist and matchmaking to fix it, or if it's not really necessary. But I guess we'll never know.
My final point to all this is great. Is Travis, I'm very disappointed in you, because you know what you missed out on? You literally missed out on more help Ebontis segments because of this. And you're not looking at the big picture, sir.
I messed up. How am I going to do help Ebontis sections when now he can just match me? You know what I mean? It's impossible.
See, now you can do your pre-made help Ebontis, pre-made match teams.
It's tough.
how after all the end of this, I get crapped on? I don't know. But anyway, activity rules. There's going to be activity rule set changes. Round time is being reduced to 90 seconds from 120. Emotes stay in first person. Swords cannot be equipped unless you have ammo.
Fixing.
Special and heavy ammo no longer carry over between rounds. I didn't even know the heavy carried over, but special definitely.
Good change. To Teddy's point of the rich get richer, that's like a 100%.
Yeah, that's rich get richer. Facts.
That was a big problem in D1.
That was a big problem. Once you get steamroll and they got the special, forget it.
Mm-hmm.
It also made it hard to keep track. Like you know, on round 1, if someone has a sniper on and and I hear 2 shots being fired and no one's dead, I know they're done. There's no more sniper shots.
Yep.
Like that's it. So we could, we have or shotgun too. But after that, it's like, well, we died. 2 of us died. Did he pick up the special? I don't know. Like, so it's a good change.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, I just figured out, because there's people who be like, hey, maybe you'll play Trials. I'm like, yeah, my video series is going to be Tragic Trials. Just how terrible that's going to go.
The tragedy of Dorothy Bontas. The wise.
I love it.
That's if I play with Travis. That's when he's going to scold me.
I'm not mean, guys. I'm fun in Trials. Teddy's played with me.
Yeah, this previous hour has proved that exact point. Anyways, rewards.
Give me this.
Rewards and reputation. Saint is now getting new Trials ranks, reputation, and a rewards track. Trials tokens have been retired. Reputation is gained at match complete based on the number of rounds won on your ticket. Tickets track up to 20 round wins now. Emphasizing winning individual rounds for the core rewards gives every player more achievable goals at all skill levels. Since you don't have to win full matches to get rewards, you always have a reason to keep trying even if you are behind. Ranking up gives you Trials engrams, more on that in a bit. Powerful Trials engrams show up every 3 ranks before your first reset of the season. Just like other ritual reputations, there's other rewards, just like previously you got, upgrade modules and things like that. Looks like you got a couple weapons in ranks as well that are actually going to be tossed in the middle. Passages. Passages no longer track losses. A passage is either flawless or not. This allows you to keep playing and earning match and round wins for rewards. Players may continue to reset their passage after a loss, but are no longer forced to after 3 losses. Passages track up to 20 rounds won. We can see that. Passages have been reordered. Mercy is not super useful unless you're trying to go for flawless, and have had all their prices significantly reduced. I still don't know why so many things cost random amounts in this game. Artifact.
I think that was there.
Artifact.
Grind.
Stop the artifact pricing. Anyways, passages are now account-wide as well. Let's see. Each week there are 2 pinnacle challenges for Trials. Win 7 matches total on a given weekend, and win 50 rounds. That's not a small number. Bonus progress based on the number of wins on your card. 3, 5, 7 win challenges have been removed. Once you max out the reputation, you can reset and claim the Ascendant Shard or Exotic Engram like other rituals. Additionally, we'd like to keep players going deeper into the cards rather than resetting each time they lose a match. Match wins on a 7-win card have the same chance to drop extra trials engrams, master working materials, and high stat armor. The Lighthouse experience isn't changing. A unique Pinnacle Adept each week, the first time you visit on your account. All of the mods and cosmetics are available in the chest to reward return visits. Trials Engram. The Trials Engram now decrypts a random selection from current armor and non-adept weapons. You do not need to unlock a piece of armor or weapon before it shows up in the engram. You can focus your engrams. This is something you were probably waiting on. At Saint 14, decrypt specific items that you have already received. If you have gone flawless that week, you can focus additional drops for the weekly adept weapon, but expect it to be expensive. Matchmaking. You can now start matchmaking with players that have the same number of wins on the card and with similar trials game performance of the given week. We have a bunch of different factors planned, and we'll be watching and tuning these to balance match quality versus matchmaking time. If matchmaking takes too long, it widens the similarity check. And security, we've covered anti-cheat, win trading, account recoveries, and of course the paywall. Anything in there that we have thoughts on?
It's all positive.
I like almost all those changes.
Yeah.
Really cool.
And so far, I haven't really encountered any cheaters as far as I can tell. So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, really positive. I just like, the diversity of the things they've added, and I thought it was really well thought. I'll be honest. This is something that's very complex. I love trials, and I didn't know what they were going to do, and to be honest, I didn't think they were going to go this deep. To be honest, I thought it was just going to be, even at some point, not even get the damn anti-cheat. But I do like that. I'm not going to lie, like the focusing really, speaks to me, because there are times it's so hard enough to get to the lighthouse or to just get to certain thresholds, to 3 to 5 to 7 or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, nothing sucks when you finally do it and you get that crap weapon with the garbage roll and you like, damn, I got this whack messenger with no desperado, and E went one time and he got it.
Do you think they'll be able to focus on
actually happen.
weapons?
They said you can after you've gone flawless.
Yeah, if you go flawless, it's
yeah.
going to be expensive, but you will be able to, it says.
Yes.
Dope. That's amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah, man. So that part, I love that. Like, one thing, since the benefit of the seasonal model that has now benefited trials, I feel, is the umbral focusing, because that always helps try to dig down. The key is going to be how much materials and stuff like that. And the last point I'll say is, I'm a huge fan. I've always been upset that trials disproportionately does not reward with prisms and cores the way the other modes do. They treat it like this stepchild. And I'm like, this is way more harder to do with way more variables. And you're not even giving me mats. Like, that's bad. So this is cool. I like it. That's all I can say. Trav.
Agreed. I still think they need to work on. Actually, I won't say anything negative. I already talked about this enough, but I have a lot of suggestions.
Come on.
I was going to talk about the end rewards and stuff like that, but I think I've already hammered on that enough. But yeah, I like all these changes. Honestly, I think if they would have done all of this, that would have been enough to amp up the community with crossplay and with the other changes they're making to kind of breathe new life into the trials playlist. But now there will definitely be a lot more people with matchmaking, so I'm interested to see how that goes.
Q E.
I mean, for me, it all sounds appealing, because especially if like I try matchmaking, I get a few wins here, and it's going to give me a reason for me to dabble in the playlist, even if it's just like a weird hour, nobody's on, and I just kind of do my own thing for a little bit. I think it'll be a way for me to play this probably more than I ever do, because if I go jump in, despite, Travis may hate the fact that I can, but if I jump in my little solo playlist and I can get match made for a couple wins, then I might actually jump in there and actually get something out of it. Because honestly, I haven't played trials in ages. So for me, it's just like, as even chat's saying, are you actually going to play? I'm like, I probably might dabble, just because it's one of those things that's just going to be, if a 3-person stack's on, or I don't want to go look. And you guys usually say you have groups. And if I asked you guys, I probably could, but half the time, whether I'm making content or whatever, it's like, hey, I just want to do a Crucible match while videos editing or something like that. Hey, let me go in, let this thing render, go, do my thing, and then jump. It's just a way for me to mess with the mode, but without being, quite as much in-depth prep on it. They do have a couple labs planned, though, for Season 15. Capture and Elimination Hybrid. So One capture point activates 30 seconds after each round starts with an extended capture timer. The capture location changes each round, as do spawn locations. Capturing it wins the round, or you can just do elimination as well. So that'll probably move people around. You got Trials Freelance. That's a separate one. Basically, everybody solo. We know how freelance works. And then they say no intro quest. 1 week when players who have never played in the Crucible can play. I don't know the purpose in that as a labs thing.
That's because it made you it made you play some other modes before you could jump into trials. It would say like you're not ready to play this game yet.
There was like a quest that you had to do if you hadn't played enough Crucible games like us.
Like in theory though, that's the one that I'm like, that's the one that I will say probably shouldn't be there, because generally, like, you should probably play a few rounds.
Make it more accessible, E.
I mean, I get that, but you should probably click on one Crucible node before Trials is your first one, because you're gonna go in there.
Trials is just casual now. It's a casual.
Oh yeah, it's just casual. Totally. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Blue gear and no mic, and it'll be great. Who cares, right? Accessibility.
Forcado was like,
it's all for accessibility. Hey, while we're making Crucible and Trials more accessible, can I have a recommendation to make things less accessible? Not that I've not done that enough already on this show. Here's my proposal.
Yes, please.
Remove matchmaking from Gambit. I want it to be harder to get into a Gambit match so that there's fewer reasons for me to have to play that mode. Because playing a freelance Gambit match sucks. Playing Gambit with randoms is a horrible experience most of the time. And because it'll make me less likely to play Gambit. That's my proposal.
Is that your Bungie please this week? Is that your Bungie please?
That's my Bungie please this week. Bungie please make Gambit less accessible so that I don't have to play it as much.
Oh my God.
What we going to do with him? Our child is acting up, E.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm just
gonna turn Travis's volume down. He's gonna be like screaming and banging on the screen, and he's gonna be in timeout over there.
Like I'm behind glass.
Yeah, I'll just put up little bars on his little section. He'll just be in jail.
I have one point to say on Travis's thing, but I'll talk about it when we get to the seasonal stuff, because it kind of relates to that more than it does to Gambit, but it's the same problem that Gambit has. Interesting. So we'll still go back to it. We talked about it last night.
Well,
I know what you're talking about.
So that does pretty much wrap up Trials for at least a half a second. But before we go much farther, something else got a revamp that I did not expect.
Was that 90 minutes? Did we talk about Trials?
Bro.
Dude, we're going to have to do a part 3.
Bro.
Right.
No, we're finishing this thing tonight.
So no, we finished, damn it.
Strap
We're done.
Strap in.
Y'all had y'all moment. I didn't hear just.
The rest of this stuff shouldn't be quite as long. I hope, but we do have Travis in here, so it's fine.
Wow.
Travis had to get the shots.
Wow.
Travis had the shots and it's just casual now. It's totally fine.
I like it. Nah, but you was deserving one. He never throws the shot, so that was actually good. Salute.
That's pretty good.
For being petty.
No, Zur. Did you guys see Zur this weekend?
Yeah.
But yeah,
what did you guys think?
He's got the loot.
Yeah, he's got random rolled weapons, like 7 of them. He's got a set of armor for each class. Those exotics are still the same, and those are away. They know the purpose of that one, but literally 7 random rolled weapons and a set of armor that the hunter's made out like a bandit, I would say. Like if you were a new hunter, you could do pretty well last weekend. So what'd you guys think of just that quick change while we're in the world of revamps at the moment?
I've been confused about Zur's role in the game for like 2 years.
3
years?
I was like helping new players build up their exotic collection. That's literally his purpose.
Yeah, that's all he is. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have any thoughts about this. I saw that and I was like, oh, that's cool, I guess. And then I forgot that it existed. I've seen Zur like 3 times in the past 3 years. Like I see him like almost never.
He and I have an appointment every week, so that's fine.
Yes,
Teddy, what about you?
Yeah, I mean this is a positive change. In D1, okay, so Zur's overall function is to help people complete their exotic collection. And in D1, they added a functionality, I think, with Rise of Iron where you could re-roll the exotics with the classes, which was cool, and I want them to bring it back.
Yes, remember
in
that.
D2, he's largely been kind of pointless besides the, like, you know, this is how new players get the exotics. Especially, I think in year 1, he was more helpful.
He was. Yeah.
But since then, it's kind of been whatever. I would just check him every week to get my one, paid exotic random engram, and then I'd use my exotic cipher as well, which leads me into a thing. If any Bungie employees listening, there's a bug that was introduced with the last season where, because I carried the quest over from Xur from the previous season of the Chosen, I cannot redeem my exotic cipher every week. So please fix this. I still can't do it. It's 3 seasons of this.
Yeah.
But other than,
I was like, I'm probably in the same boat. I just haven't tried to use it. So crap.
Yes, I'm in the same boat. I know exactly what he's talking about.
Overall, like this is a cool. It's a cool thing for them to do. There's some data mine stuff that people saw on like what other sets and stuff he's gonna have, which it's smart of them to do this because it kind of gives him a better purpose. Would I like him to have other functionality? Sure, but like I've seen the suggestion thrown around a lot, which is have him sell old cosmetics for like quests.
Oh, okay.
That's come up often when people talk about Xur. It's like, oh, have him sell like the season 1 Eververse cosmetics, but have it be like a quest or some objective.
Tess ain't having that.
Oh, it's not happening.
Yeah, no,
like,
Eververse said no.
Tess ain't having that.
I don't care if you're with the 9, but Eververse got the power. You don't. Sorry, bud.
Oh, she's a hot goddess herself.
Positive
they'll probably give him a Xur 2.0, and there'll be microtransactions. You have to grind for Xur Weave or something.
I was gonna say how many
strange coins.
How many new currencies we gonna get for Xur? It's fine.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, I mean, if Teddy was done, I'll jump. Yes,
yeah, I'm done. It's positive. Like
I'm gonna pull Travis. I roll my eyes on this. I was like, okay, I forgot whose video. I think shout out to Cactus. I think I watched this video on it. I was just like, they're putting in legendaries. I guess maybe one week, when it favors specific, play styles or for warlocks, high recovery on something or whatever. There's gonna be some of those weeks that certain things will be fine. It just to me he's just not for the hardcore. To me he's not for us. He's literally the exotic collection guy. The guys that, hey, I'm just playing Destiny. I have no exotics. I can't compete. Right. So now I go to him, you trade in your shards and stuff like that. They still need to figure out something, I feel, for the hardcore community for him. And they still seem to be torn. I was very curious to hear what Teddy was going to say about the data buys, if he was willing to share. But I don't want him to break it.
Go ahead and blow past that one. What?
Yeah,
there's just I won't say what sets they are, but there's just other sets that they're...
Other sets. Okay. Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, hopefully they do that. And I would like... One frustration I have on a cosmetic level, even though I know Tess would not agree with this, is I get frustrated when ornaments go away or like it's a very limited window and there's some really cool ornaments. I'm like, damn, when can I get that? Like, you remember the New Monarchy, you could only get the Eyes of Tomorrow ornament from that. And
faction rallies.
Bro, I'm like, when is this ornament coming back? So it's just like, I'd even do a quest for the damn ornament, whatever they want me to do. Like,
hey, some things you had to be there for. That's where some things are gonna live.
Oh, so you gonna FOMO me? You gonna FOMO me?
100%.
Faction rallies.
Which they literally wrote out the game.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
If you were there for faction rallies, you got them. If not, too bad.
Wow.
Some of those things you had to be. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks for your accessibility speech.
No problem. Absolutely. That's why I'm here. Travis is over there just like...
Accessibility.
No, it was like, for me, it was just interesting.
It
was just interesting to say. I logged into my Titan and I'm like, okay, and then I'm checking Xur Watch on Twitch to see what they got. And they're on their Hunter. I'm like, they're going through the Hunters like 60, 61, 62, 65. I'm like, damn, I go on my Titan 51, 55, 50, 40. So I'm like, dude, Titans got screwed.
Yeah.
Absolutely hosed this past week. So every so often, Xur will be like, hey, there's this Hunter helm. It's a good helm. And it's got like a 67 perfect stat roll. But other than that, yeah, it's random luck that he'll have something good for hardcore players like once every 6 months. Other than that, again, but if like there was a Hunter who jumped on and they're like, they've been playing a little bit, but they haven't, been around a season pass that many times, and they jump in and they're like, dude, these all literally have 60 for... Okay, it may not be perfect rolls, but that's a higher total than they probably had for a little bit. Like, that's decent for them. Then you can go deeper into like, okay, I want these stat rolls and stuff, but if they bump up their totals, that's going to help them a little bit. So overall, it was just like, it was a baby quality of life, but I was like, kind of appreciate that. Every so often, there's probably going to be a legendary that's like, okay, this is the god roll in this weapon. Make sure you buy it. Like, but not often, just like anything else.
Fair enough.
Okay. So now we got to open the can of worms, which I don't know how long this one is going to take. Season of the Lost.
4 hours.
Season of the Lost. So we haven't touched this thing last week at all. We got Witch Queen. We knew we had the trailer for Season of Lost, but we haven't had a whole lot to talk about on this one or we have a lot to talk about. We haven't got there yet. So I wanted to get you guys just like, how's the season going for you so far? Before we go into activities and other stuff, how's the season been? Since we're like 2 weeks in now, basically.
We're to our steamed guest.
Overall, I like it. I think I said this last week, but it's just kind of more of the same. But this time, the actual story stuff, Destiny has this problem where there's all these side stories, and they do tie in somehow to the main overarching story of Destiny, but sometimes it's not immediately obvious, or like they have to play it out over the course of literal years. And so this season, I think, is more impactful because this is an actual like main story beat that happened. Like we're allegedly tying up the Forsaken stuff, and it's kind of finally, you know, culminating into something. Obviously, the other seasons, like there's a build up there, and there is connections, but it's just not as obvious. So overall, I'm enjoying it. I am getting a little bit fatigued by the sort of drip feed seasonal model that we're having, and I think it's really going to get exacerbated this season because of how long the season is. Granted, we have the anniversary pack to kind of like hold us over after the first 3 months, but like, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But the seasonal activities, so this is kind of what I want to touch on. Travis was mentioning how poor an experienced Gambit is, and I can sort of explain objectively why that is. So in Destiny, the average player who's just completing bounties or doing whatever, they're not thinking about, they're not min-maxing every second of how they play. So when you enter something like the new seasonal activity, which has objectives, the enemies spawn infinitely in that. So there can be players that just shoot enemies forever and never do the objective, and that can make the experience miserable if you're the one trying to complete, just, you know, trying to get through it. I've had a couple runs like that where I've carried all 6 balls up the hill, and that it's just terrible. Like, it's not a fun experience, and everyone else is just shooting ads. Gambit suffers from the same problem, but I think it's even more exacerbated in that because there's so many different levels or layers of things you need to do in order to progress the game mode properly. So the activity aesthetically, I think, looks amazing, but the way that it plays is just, in practice, I think is not fun. But overall, like, cool stuff. I'm happy that stuff is happening. The weapons aren't that interesting to me, honestly. I think they're kind of whatever. The Umbral Tier 3 focusing lockout is really silly, and the fact that it was not locked out for the first couple days and they server-side patched it is really scummy. Just let me focus Tier 3s, especially because the cost is really high. The seasonal cap on the material is also really dumb. Especially because of the cost to focus on.
You're just opening Pandora's box right now. So yeah,
there we go.
We just got about 6 topics on the table. Where do we start?
I mean, that's basically that's all I wanted to say essentially for that.
Let Trav go. He's chopping.
Oh, Trav, yeah.
Chomp.
I think this is, it hasn't even been 2 full weeks since this came out, and I think it's already the best season, the best non-expansion season.
Ooh, spicy.
And I think that for a couple reasons. And I'm not trying to just like be like, oh yeah, every season's the best, I love Destiny so much. Like, genuinely, I've not, this past seasons have not really clicked with me the same way they have with other players. Like, Menagerie, I think, is really overrated. I don't mean that like as it's bad. I just think people associate really good memories with that season because it was so rewarding, and it was like, oh, the first time you could like focus farm, and everybody was like obsessed with that. But in terms of redoing the same 6-person activity where you were kind of just running around doing like weird objective things, I don't really like any of those. I didn't like the Sundial. I didn't like Menagerie. I mean, Menagerie was definitely one of the better of the 6 activities, but like, so many of these have been so uninteresting to me, and it sucks that every season it's just like, okay, we're gonna get some random activity that feels like a public event but has like a playlist to it, and then it's gonna be there for a while and then it's gonna be gone. And so the reason that this season separates it for me is not because of the 6-person activity, it's because of the Shattered Realm. The Shattered Realm is awesome. It is like, Teddy and I were doing it last night, and I was kind of like writing a love letter to it while we were in party chat. Like, the fact that it feels like a Metroidvania where you're unlocking different levels by gaining powers as you level it up is fantastic. And the fact that we're going to, presumably in 2 weeks, we're going to go back to that first area, but we're going to have new powers and be able to unlock new areas is amazing. And I've just been having so much fun with that. I love that they reused old assets, but made it feel new by putting it in this weird ascendant plane. I love that they time gated these different powers that we're unlocking and made it feel like a cool Metroidvania game where we're unlocking different weird ascendant powers. It's awesome, dude. Like when I got True Sight yesterday, I was like, oh, there's so many possibilities. I can't wait to go back to the first ascended area and do all the puzzles. I love that some of the puzzles you can solve early if you're clever enough. Teddy and I were opening chests that we definitely were not supposed to be able to get to.
Yeah, the
second week.
There's an enigmatic one this week you kind of got to tweak a little bit for.
Yeah, we got the enigmatic one that you're not really supposed to access yet, which was awesome. I think that's fantastic. And then the other big thing for me is that we finally have a villain that is talking directly to us and doing character building, and we know she's not going to die this season, which is so good. Like Zivu Wrath is like a villain that I feel like I didn't even meet. Like I don't know what she's about. Like it's such a nothing burger of a villain. And I feel like that a lot of the things we were fighting were just like an idea, like, oh, that ship is going to crash into the tower. Better not let that happen by lighting satellites or whatever the heck we were doing. And all that stuff where it's just like so like such a bummer of an activity, feels really low stakes. You always feel disconnected with the story. This time we actually have the villain talking directly with us in our midst. There's lots of like espionage going off, and we know that she's going to be the main villain. And so like the threat is really present. And I just absolutely love that. So for the story reasons and for the fact that there's something beyond the 6-player matchmade activity, which I agree with everything Teddy said. I don't think that mode is particularly fun, but it's not the reason I really like this season. So I think this is the best, at least for me, for the things I care about. This is my favorite season so far. That isn't a main expansion, and I hope that they use this as a model going forward, because that whole reusing old stuff and making it feel new every week by making a kind of like progression, like that's the right way to do time gating. Like as opposed to what they're doing with the focus 2 or 3 engrams and all that stupid time gating stuff they're doing. Like this is the right way to time gate. So I love it, man. I really am enjoying the season so far.
Cog.
Good points made. The story's been fantastic. I've been really enjoying, Morosov and going in there, and then obviously the Sabathun conversations and the whole, I'm your friend. I helped you. I did this. Remember?
Oh, that video this week was amazing.
Oh, bro, it was so good. I gave you a form that you would like to talk to. You know what I mean? Like that was cold, man. I got to rest in peace, my man. It don't look good, but you know what I'm saying. But at the end, it looks spooky as hell. It doesn't, but it's so well done that, like, man, I love it. But so the narrative is always going to be it. Astral alignment is what it's called. The first one, the 6-player, mixed. Because my first experience was just bad. Like I remember when I launched, I don't know if you guys had this experience where like my debut playing the mode, it launched into the battery stuff and there were like no batteries and people just sitting there and shooting around at nothing. And I'm like,
fixed
what?
As of today.
That was my first experience. And I got it like 3 out of 4 experiences. And I was like, what? And I had to keep going to orbit. I'm like, what is going on? So then when I finally experienced where Mara's talking to you, you go into the blind well. And I'm like, oh, this is what's supposed to happen. Yeah. So then I got into it. Maybe I'm a little biased towards, I do kind of like 6-player activities. I don't feel this is like the greatest, but I like the attempt at some simple mechanics of the battery up the hill and, move it. All right, guys, get behind me, relay race, tag team, whatever. Simple enough that blueberries could get in and do something, kind of thing. And then the boss, I do like this though. I do like, when they do 6-player activities and it's not the same bosses every week. And I do like that we got the new boss, the guy that was kind of like getting the ether, the Scorn, whatever. Shout out to some Scorn champions. I was very happy to see that. That was cool.
It's like we knew those were coming, but they're fun.
That was fun. Listen, it's just simple. Now, to Trav's point, he's 1,000% on the money. I was pleasantly surprised with the Shattered Realm. That took me by surprise. And I think this is the good balance that I feel Season of the Splicer set up, which is like you have your main activity, whatever, which, you know, the one when you jump up and thing, that one wasn't that fun. But you also have this other contained experience, which I feel Shattered Realm does. And it really gave me the haunted house vibes and, you know, doing the anchors, the searching around, like you said, the Metroidvania, this closes up this portal, secrets. And then to me, the overall why this season works is I got to shout Paris out. Besides the Lord's Fire, we have to admit the Dreaming City is still one of the most fantastic creations they've ever done. And every time, even when I'm playing Astral Alignment, I'm smiling. I'm looking at that beautiful scape in the back. When I'm doing, you know, Shattered Realm, I'm looking at and you know how it is, E. Like, when you do Shattered Throne, just the environment alone, you're like, yo, you know what I'm saying? You're in this dark ascendant plane. Like, it feels good. So it's just, I'm going to be sad if, you know, most likely this is going to probably get vaulted. You know what I'm saying? The rumors are that this, you know, the curse will break and it's going to go. But I want to give the Dreaming City its roses while it's here. It is the most phenomenal, probably, space that they've created. It's
definitely getting put in the vault.
It's definitely getting put in the vault. And that's what I say. I want to give it its roses now before we pour it out and we break this curse and whatever. And the last point, you know, I'll say is that, you know, the focusing cool, but E, you know, we've had this conversation. I cannot stand this new thing with the 1,500 cap on the thing, because it's bad enough. Yeah, it's bad enough that you capped it, right? But then you can't cap it to that price. And then the expense of the tier 2 and the tier 3 focusing rips you apart. So it's like, come on, you got to give us a little bit. Reward the people who are still grinding and playing these playlist activities that really grant you them in bulk, right? So like what it is they're just showing me they are artificially extending this thing as long as they can.
Yep.
Parallax currency. Thank you, Nurad. Yeah, that it's really limiting. Like really, because what is it? Like the cost of one of them, I think a tier 2 is maybe like
600.
600.
Tier 3 is 600. Tier 2 is 450.
Yeah, that's way too much.
And
like
some of they all use the same currency too. So upgrading your actual compass also costs this currency, and you can run out after 2 perks.
Yes, and I don't like that. I hate that the game, they started this for Splicer. I hate that they use the same currency for focus engram that they do for actually doing the actual unlocks. You know what I'm saying? I hate separate it. It really bothers me. That's my only complaint. Yeah, I'm curious.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you guys have touched on a lot of stuff. I mean, since we're on the kind of currency, like, wall hell, yeah, it was just like you had the tier 3 focuses. I was like, oh, 4. But I clicked on one. I was like, oh, that's still there. And then they're like, oh, we're fixing that. I'm like, son, I was literally live, and Nurad was even sitting there talking to me like, hey, make sure you guys focus those before they patch them. And I saw it was literally done server side not even an hour later after he said it. And he's like, rip. So I was like, that's what, and this is the season where you can grind that stuff reasonably. You get 100 in Crucible, you get 150 in Strikes, you can actually get a decent amount. But what if you have that whole like, hey, I could get that streak bonus in Strikes now. Well, if you do 10 strikes and you're going to be getting some as you kill people, you just hit the capacity and one of those is going to be a waste. So it's like, it's too small of a limit, first off.
Yes.
Yeah, way too small.
Way
like
too small.
1,500 when you give me 150 in a strike is too damn small. I'm sorry. Like double. Well, I don't know why there's a cap on it. So, I mean, they limit you hard.
You get like 110 in Crucible. I think Crucible might be the best way to grind this.
Crucible, bro, I was playing Banner.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I got mad at myself. I capped out and I forgot to cash out, and I'm still and that's not earning anymore. Continue.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing is like, you can, if you get in just an Iron Banner run with people playing, hold on, we got to go back to the helm. I got to turn in some umbrals right now because I'm full up, and everybody's like, we were in a good list, man. What are you doing to us? And it's like, you're going to run out of space. Like, that's a limitation on go by the tower, go by the tower, go by the helm. Like, that's not necessary because when you go to the compass, you're already limited. Please reach step 7 in the quest. Please reach step 5 or like rank 5 on the compass. Go reach step 17 on the first. So go reach step 27. I was like, that's going to be like week 6. And I just can't, I can't grind it out if I want to. And then the other,
let me ask you a quick question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. How do you feel when you did that, when you did the quest and it literally tells you
That hit me harder than all of them. That hit me harder than all of them.
53.
It's like, oh, 53 was one. No, but it's like when you get to the step quest, this will be available in next week's reset. And I know it's done it every week, but the fact that it will be available on weekly reset was in text and I read it hurt a little more than it has before for some reason. I'm like, the fact that I can read it and you're just like, it's like a big ass stop sign. Just like, it's like, here's the quest. Oh, you're on step 6. Stop. Next week. Okay, you can go again. You're on 13. Stop.
Yeah.
That's how it
Red light, green light.
pretty
Red light,
much.
green light.
100%. It's red light, green light on that damn 53 step quest. And I was like, I almost liked it to where
I thought that was a bug when it said 53 steps. I was like, oh,
I did for a second. I was like,
when I got to the stop sign, I was like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
They just put it all in one quest this time.
I almost
Damn.
liked it better like last season when you did like the 4 steps and then it faded. You're like, oh, we'll do another thing next week. And it had like a different name. Now they just can smashed it into one as like, and here's your weekly wall that you know you're, and it's like step 53. I'm like, okay, so that's about 10 weeks. Cool. But it's like, you know exactly what's coming. Any of the seasonal activities, you guys talked about the 6-person matchmaking ones. Sundial and Menagerie, big 6-person match made ones. And then recently we've had things like how many times are you going to run Expunge? How many times are you going to run Override, especially Override? But any of these things, as much as they make us run them, they all wear thin. It doesn't seem to matter which one we're doing. Some handle a little better than others, like Season of Arrivals, doing a public event, Season of Worthy, doing a public event. Those were roughest, I would say. As Travis
They
is,
all were thin for me, like on the second one.
Yeah.
The second one, I was like, I'm over this already.
yeah. I was like, for Sundial, we had 3 different. I wish there was a little more boss variation. Like, I thought when Sundial came out, like we were gonna go, there was like a boss section of each time area, but it's like, nope, go back to this place and still fight the same boss. The ending boss was kind of cool, but like, they've all had their ups and downs. Menagerie had a lot of variety, but then same thing when you've done it twice, you've done most of the rooms, then you might see one new one. But also with Menagerie, I think a lot of people forget that like it was very rewarding because you could run back and forth and do the extra turn-ins, and then when
everyone did that.
and then when they nerf that, then everybody's like, oh, this is a bit more like 20-minute run for like one chest type thing. So it didn't.
They left it on though purposefully. Remember they told us, oh, we're gonna fix that later on this date, so get your runs in now.
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, that was part of why that thing was so fun. Everybody's like, oh, run, do it again, set it up, run back, do it again, get really efficient at those things, and that was kind of cool.
I was doing that at Guardian Con. They patched it during Guardian Con, and I was playing at night on my laptop with the people I was staying with, and then they patched it that week.
Yeah.
Rip.
And as Forcado said, like certain like Menagerie with 5 new lights was rough. Yeah, you couldn't fail the normal version at least. So yeah, that one could take a little while, but you couldn't fail it. You just might see a lot of encounters. So I mean, this for me, you guys know I love Shattered Throne. They're not Shattered Throne, Shattered Realm. You know I'm gonna love that because of the stuff I like. I love the dungeons. I love doing that stuff by myself. You know, I've been making
YouTube tutorials.
I've been making YouTube guides where every anchor is, where every chest is at. How can I make the most efficient run for all of the anchors from start to finish and go through and do that stuff? But also for me, it's like, as you said, I didn't like quite make the connection of the Metroidvania of like, hey, here's this thing. I knew it at the time. I was like, hey, this thing, and then here's Safe Passage and True Sight. Is like, we're going to come back here on week 4 and we're going to do it again. But we're going to get to do like the first week. Now we're going to have Safe Passage and we're going to have True Sight. So the first one is going to look completely different by the time we get back there. The only thing is then when we get to about week 6, then you're like, all right, now I've done it all. But then you're going to have to keep doing it. So like that's a 6-month season. Again, the 30th anniversary stuff is going to help a little bit for that like shot in the arm in about December when it's going to come, which is when we're all going to be tired of it. But I will say, I think the fact that there's 2 different variations of like astral alignment gives a little flux. The weekly bosses as well. There's enough rotation in there. If you do it the few times that you need to, it's not too bad. If you're grinding out for like powerfuls and you're going to do like 9 of them, that's going to be a while. But for me, it's like if I do a couple times, move the quest forward, mostly okay. But
what do you guys think about here's if I had a 6-month season, the way I would have done this event is I would have made you do all 3 Ascendant worlds without any of the powers, and then at the end of the 3rd week I would have given you barrier break or whatever.
Barrier
And then
breach. Yeah.
You do all 3 again with barrier breach, and then you get true sight at the end of that 3-week cycle. And then you do it again, and then you get safe passage. And then the 4th week you get or the 4th run through, you get to do all 3 again with all of your powers, because that would have been what, 12 weeks.
Yeah.
12 weeks, and you could have. That's how I would have done it if I was really trying to stretch it. So I guess we should kind of be glad that they're giving us 1 power a week. That seems generous.
Yeah, I was gonna say the way you
mean?
described that sounds almost painfully slow. That's like, hey, here's your Metroid game that you get like play level 1 week 1, but yeah, you're gonna play level 1 3 times.
But every playthrough would feel completely different, because imagine
Not
trudging
completely,
through
though.
the first one.
Yeah.
The first 3 with no powers, and you're just seeing everything, and you're like, I have no idea what is supposed to happen here.
But yeah, if they stretch it that long, I think this is about the right balance. I think you're right. If they had done that, because I mean, you could run through and you can see where some of the things are going to go, and you're like, all right, I got to wait 4 weeks just to do barrier. I got to wait 7 weeks just to get back here with true sight. Safe passage like that would have stretched it too long. Like once a week on these, and then coming back like then 4, 5, and 6 being like the other piece of fresh. That's about as far as I think it should be stretched, but I think it does give it just of enough life that 6 is a reasonable balance, because 12, yeah, that would have been like, yeah, that 53-step quest almost feels good now by the time you did it that many times.
I wonder, because I wonder if it would feel better to do a 12-week process where every week felt different because you had new powers, or if doing it in a 6-week process and then you just have to arbitrarily do it again with the exact same powers. Because it seems like with a 53 step quest, it's not going to be done in 6 weeks, right? Or do you think it will be?
No, that'll be about a 10-week thing, and I think we'll be going 6 weeks. But I was like, unless they do some other variations, unless there's something on like weeks 8, 9. But I mean, when we did Expunge, we only had 6 variations. Then we still repeated that for a little while. So I was like, I think they can only give certain pieces of content so much legs. Like I'm imagining there's only going to be 3 bosses for Astral Alignment. We've seen 2 of them, but it also said in the Triumph that there's actually 2 bosses in the Triumph. So I don't even know if there's any more.
Wow. So we've seen them all. The boss this week is cool though. At least.
Yeah, I like the boss this week. Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I like the boss this week.
GK is asking Teddy, did you like any of the new content? Do you like Shattered Realm? Do you like Shattered Realm? Is that doing anything for you or?
Yeah, like Travis basically hit all the points. We were talking about this last night. It's just Metroidvania, and I think that game design is so good. Like almost any game that does that it's just very smartly done. And especially in Destiny's case, where they're constantly reusing assets to save on development time and give us something new. So they just reiterating what Travis said, they took the Ascendant Realm filter. And then slapped on the Earth assets and the Tangled Shore assets, and kind of, they broke them up a little bit, made some floating platforms. There's some new stuff in there. It's not all entirely reused, but then you also add this. It's almost like a true open world. Like Destiny has patrol, but besides the Dreadnought and the Dreaming City, you don't really like do a whole lot on patrol. You're kind of, it's just it's free roam, but whatever. Besides the 2 endgame destinations where there's actual secrets and like things to unlock and things to do. And so it's kind of cool to have that, you see something and it's that the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order effect or the Metroid Prime, where it's like you see that and you're like, I know I can go there later, but I can't do that. Or Zelda does this as well. When you see the hook shot thing and you're like, I know that's a hook shot, but I can't go there right now, but I'll come back to it later. And so, Shadow Realm is awesome. Yeah. There is some data mine stuff that I won't spoil in the Triumphs that show more stuff coming for that later.
Nice.
That will kind of give us a reason to go back to it after we've unlocked everything. So that'll be cool, I'm assuming, when it comes up.
And Forcado pointed out there's a legendary version of Astral Alignment for something. That's going to be
nice. Good.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in the Triumphs.
I'm guessing.
That's big for me because
and that's the other piece we haven't actually mentioned is the Stasis Trace Rifle that's going to be coming from all these Atlas SKUs we've been getting on a weekly basis, which those in themselves have very cool lore. When you sit there and listen to the story between the brother and the sister and the relation to obviously Aldrin and Mara, and she's talking about that, listening to his old stories as kind of as he was Aldrin before. I really like how they're doing that, just kind of how it's delivered. It's like 200-minute countdown timer. When you get to the end, you listen to the lore and then you're done. And the Atlas SKUs aren't that hard to find. They're like basic clues. They're like, one was like, Garden Waterfall, I'm like, well, I know exactly where that's going to be. But there was one on, what was the first destination? Where were they?
They were
from?
both in Dreaming City.
One was just,
the first one was the first two
Devillion
areas,
Mists,
yeah.
yeah. One of those was just like staring me square in the face, but just took me a minute to figure out. So they haven't been too bad on the clues once you get close. But I'll be curious.
I really liked it. You don't have to do guides or anything. The clues are specific enough to where if you played around in the Dreaming City, you sort of know where all these are.
Yep.
It's kind of great.
Yeah, but I'll be curious if that exotic has like a cool... If we do get another Presage, if we do get another Harbinger, if we get a quest related to, like, here's the Atlas SKUs, and then it looks like there's a portal sitting in the middle of the room, then once you got the portal open, do you go through that for the quest, or how's that going to work? I'm actually kind of very intrigued to see how that all plays out. Because we're due for an exotic quest, especially, but also if we get a trace rifle, I don't expect that to have random rolls, so then the replayability is something I wonder about as well. If we do get it, is it a one-time thing? Like a whisper, or is it going to be, because they said they weren't going to have every weapon be random, which I don't want them all to be. But again, it does give that replay value. Granted, I do some of those for Pinnacles now, but again, the exotic quest, we know it's coming. They've obviously shown the Stasis Trace Rifle. Is that something you guys are excited about, or is it just like, yep, it's another color Trace Rifle, it's going to be there? Is that something you guys are hoping, is this going to be your Mr. Freeze Ray type thing?
Yeah, I'm curious. I want to see, what they do with it. This is, I think Teddy kind of alluded to how I feel with the weapons this year. It's been a mixed bag for me because, Lawrence was, oh my God, that thing was, it was tearing, it was causing terror in me in the PvP. They were tearing me up. I was like, what is going on? And now I know why. You know what I'm saying? So that caught the wrath. As far as this new exotic, yeah, trace rifles, we ran the gamut on elements. I'm curious to see what they do with that as far as, Cold Heart was that, what is it? Prismatic lens, and then they had the void one that I don't think I've ever shot even before. I think I haven't. I don't think I've ever shot that one ever.
Wave splitter.
Yeah, that was the PlayStation one.
Yeah, that was the exclusive, but I haven't. So I'm going to see what that is. I think where my issue is, I think it's the first time I'm kind of like, these new perks are like, meh. Like I didn't really see anything like the stasis one where you get the headshot and you turn into a thing.
The mods or the perks?
The perks. Like the new gun perks have been very niche to me. Like very, there's one, what is it, Adiago that's supposed to give you like
Adagio
extra,
or whatever.
Yeah, whatever, extra damage. Then it's like this one where it's like, I call it, what is the Travis perks, where it's like, shoot this, then do that with your primary on a Thursday behind the corner of the Dreaming City, and then you're going to get +5. And I'm like, it just, yeah.
They're moving stuff towards that more. There was a recent podcast, I forgot what podcast it was. They talked about going forward, kind of their design choices with a lot of perks and different aspects of Destiny.
Yeah.
And they want trade-offs for basically everything, or things that you have to do X action to trigger the thing.
Yep.
In the last few seasons, a lot of the perks have introduced, it's that, right? Like you have to do this kind of specific thing that you're maybe doing here and there. Personally, I don't like that. I just want, I want uptime. Like the best perks are always going to be the ones that just activate passively, right? Like Frenzy, right? Like Frenzy just activates because I'm just doing the thing I do in every single situation in Destiny. So yeah, sorry. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I mean, literally, yeah. I mean, just, I don't know how I feel. I don't know what your guys' experience with a lot of these new perks, but I remember seeing a couple of them and I was just like, kind of thing. I will say, I know I'm diverging into weapons and stuff like that, but I will say I do like, I don't know if any of you guys got the Gambit 260 Scout.
Yep. I know what you're talking about.
I like that. Servant leader.
Servant leader.
The
Randy archetype.
Yes, it is the Randy throwing knife. Yep, ting, ting, ting. And I got a kill clip, killing wind roll right now that I'm liking. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. It's gonna be in that bottom dollar RNG with Gambit. You know how they do. You play a bunch of matches.
The perk pool is insane.
The perk pool is insane. So God bless y'all with y'all trying to get. I was very fortunate to get this thing. But for the most part, the you know what got me the most excited? Not the perks, not the Traveler's Chosen Catalyst.
I've heard that thing is potent.
Bro,
It's great.
I like it. Full auto and now osmosis with it.
Yep.
And then it was already savage with just killing so many people. And like for me, that likes to run a stasis build with high uptime on my abilities, bro, shooting this stuff, charging it up, getting my stasis melee, my what you call it, my freeze rift and all that stuff, like and the grenade. Like I'm loving Traveler's Chosen right now. So sidearms making a little, making me feel good. And that's pretty much it. I wanted to know how you guys feel about perks, weapons or anything you guys liked for the season.
Perks, kind of whatever. Like it's until somebody shows me a video with objective evidence that like one of these perks is good for a GM or Master VOG, then I'm just not going to use them.
Follower.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's like stuff.
Any
I mean, for
standouts?
like me, there's one. I swear every other gun I get has ensemble on it, and as I play by myself half the time, I'm like, not really gonna help me right now. Like, so ensemble is like handling and reload speed, and allies are nearby. I'm like, reload speed in a Grandmaster. If you're sitting in a group and you can sit there and just like, basically probably have like field prep or something, it's not a bad thing. But again, what are you taking away? It's like I know they're getting away from some of the perks, but yeah, it's just weird. I got
forget
one
to mention they brought back Shoot to Loot.
Yes, I do have one.
Shoot to Loot from Destiny 1 it's been like a requested perk forever, and they finally brought it back. So I am happy about that, because for solo content or I mean even just general play, like it's just a good perk, especially if like the gun only has like one good perk in one column and then Shoot to Loot's in the other one, then that's perfect.
Nice.
So
nice.
That's one like positive, I guess.
Yeah. Travis, any weapons, any perks, anything stand out that you're excited or just like,
It's weird getting stasis guns to drop in the kinetic slot.
Yep.
That's like my first thing that I've just been like trying to cope with. Like I'm like, all right, I need to like figure out how this is going to affect my sandbox. But yeah, I agree with the perks stuff. Or sorry, perks? Yeah, perks. I'm just wondering, like, is there going to be a big like perk sunset at some point? Because how are any of these niche perks going to compete with like broad
Rampage
perks that always apply? Like Rampage and stuff. So I'm wondering if they're gonna do not a sunset, but they're gonna like tweak all of the existing overpowered perks to make them function differently, which they've done in the past. And if that, I think it'll make the new. I actually think the only reason the new perks are bad is because the old ones exist. But if the old ones that were broad and always worked were not in existence, I actually think I would prefer the new model. It's it's only bad in context of the fact that the existing perks exist. But if they didn't,
it's a shame Sunset didn't hang on.
It would let you build a weapon based around what you want to do with it and how you play and that sort of stuff. But like, it's hard to do that with the temptation of like, hey, there's these broad perks that just automatically always work for you. That's my issue.
I got one thing I forgot that I do like.
The sunsetting should have been a thing.
Don't you start. We're not doing it. We're not doing it.
The mods are also good. I like the mods.
Yeah. So one thing that I do like, have you guys been playing around with stasis armor?
I've been slowly acquiring some mods before I get into that. I just don't have them all yet.
Some of the stasis armor mods, very powerful. I'm liking a lot of uptime, I'm seeing a lot of unique things in the stasis one. I think for one right now, I'm making a build. I got this crazy build right now with Traveler's Chosen and stasis where I'm getting my uptime on my abilities, right? And then I have there's the stasis class item where it's like the minute you lose, like you use your class thing, like it automatically starts to recharge faster or something like that. It is a lot of high uptime stuff and very unique. Stasis resist, new rad, know what I'm talking about, bro. There's a lot of stuff in there with stasis. I would highly advise change to at least one of your pieces, or if you get a new piece, to stasis, and then see what's available there. Now the only negative is I believe they're pushing you away from the charge with light stuff in the final slot.
I'm sure they are. Yeah, because there are no. Yeah. Are there any charge with light stasis mods?
Yeah. When you go there, they're not available, right?
Yeah.
So they're pushing away from that, but they have their own unique ones in the middle slots the 2 middle slots that are really good. And I've been playing around with the almost the auto reloader holster generic ones that are in there for everybody. But yeah, just some stuff to consider. Just I would say get some stasis armor and hold on to it. There's some unique stuff in there.
I mean, you can swap any piece to it as well, just like anything else.
Anything. But if you don't want to use the mats, I'm just saying, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just do it early before while it's cheap and it's not that big of a deal.
Yes.
Thoughts about our new linear fusion rifle buddy, which just got a little tweak for PvP for the better. But overall, what do you guys think about the Lawrence Driver?
Super fun, especially with the artifact mod.
The sound it makes when you get a headshot is amazing.
Yes.
What does the
audio
catalyst
team
do?
So the catalyst makes it so if you get enough of the stacks, you don't have to get a headshot to trigger the explosion. I think you only need 3.
Oh, so like if you got the damage buff, then it works as like a body shot would basically get the implosion.
Right.
Nice.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think
I'm on
like
strike with
The
that
Vex
weapon.
Mythoclast is amazing, by the way.
Oh my
I've
god,
heard
Vex
that
is
is-
god body.
It's
I
so
still
nasty.
don't have that, but I've seen it's just everybody talk. I don't have it.
I just said the catalyst, and it's
What is the
nuts.
catalyst do? What does the catalyst do?
it makes
dude, it's so good.
it makes it have it more damage and then stability. I think when you're firing like full auto, when you're just
Oh,
holding.
when you're doing full auto more damage? As
Yeah,
opposed to
just
the linear
literally,
shot?
Cog, it melts people with almost 0 flinch or almost zero like recoil, and then you only need to get 2 kills in PvP before you fully charge it with 3 linear fusion rifle bolts, and those are one shot.
Yeah, one-shot
head
headshots.
kills.
Yeah, bro.
It's
Oh,
nuts,
it is
dude! I've just been tearing through
people
in,
up.
Crucible.
Yeah, I ain't gonna front. It's a kind of the haves and the have-nots because when you got it, bro, you tearing things up in
It
there.
feels good.
Oh, you
It's-
tearing-
Feels so good.
Yeah,
it's mainly just the
Teddy.
the global changes they did this season that affected it and fusion rifles. Like it got a 40% damage buff in PvE, which just
PvE
makes it just
so good.
it's so usable now. It's actually fun.
Bro, and then that mod, that artifact mod with the that
Part of
like
the construction.
bro, that like I don't even miss what was the breach and clear anymore. I'm like linears are outside, bro. Between that, sleeper, and yo, if you got a threaded needle with Vorpal, shout out to Cross. He got a good video right now. If you don't want to use sleeper in that exotic slot, you got that. Bro, you're right there on DPS. You're not even that far. I'm telling y'all right now. Dust off or start farming linears from, I think that was Battlegrounds, that linear came
Yes,
from.
it is.
Yeah. If you could get one with Vorpal, bro, and that mod, and you free up your exotic slot, you eating, baby. You're eating. Loving it.
It can also do auto loading frenzy.
Yeah, I think I got Clown cartridge and Vorpal on mine.
Yeah, it's like I've got Frenzy and Rapid Hit on mine, so it's okay. But
Yeah, it's good.
Nice.
yeah, but no Vorpal for me. So yeah, we talked about, we had a rant over the World of Trials, and then we cover Season Lost in let's see, 40 minutes. Is there anything else you guys want to mention on Season of the Lost so far?
Oh, no, I just want, I was like, do not forget Void 3.0. That's all I
No,
want.
that's next.
That's
Don't
the
worry.
last
Quite
one.
good.
Oh, okay, that's all I want.
Yeah, Void 3.0
No, but I was
is
gonna
Let's
coming.
jump into it.
Ready?
Mhm.
All right.
Let's
Well,
do it.
Yeah.
so with Witch Queen, as a lot of people expected, and then they confirmed, we are not getting a new green subclass as a lot of people thought was going to be coming. But we are getting a revamp, supposed to be over like consecutive seasons probably, since there's only 4. There's probably 1 off season. But the light classes are going to be reworked in the same fashion. We have stasis with aspects, fragments, except this time they have to deal with multiple supers as well. And as they did confirm in an interview before I go any farther, they've also said you're not going to lose supers, which Luke Smith had potentially said might have been said, hey, Nova Bomb's this iconic thing.
yeah.
Nova Warp might go away. That's not going to be a thing anymore. They want you to maintain all of your abilities, but more of a mix and match action. So Brave New World. So as you saw, we're going to be doing serious revamps to the light subclasses in Destiny, our Void, Solar, and Arc subclasses. I wonder if they literally state them in that order, and that's the order with what we're going to get them. Void first, then I wonder if it's going to be Solar and then Arc. So, I mean, some of those have been around since 2014. So they said they are due for a bit of a revamp. So they said they're going to start with Void in Season 16 with the launch of Witch Queen. And they said they're going to give these things a new shape. Basically, the Stasis has like 3 words that they kind of live by for their Stasis subclasses. The final shape. Yes, those 3 words specifically. But they want each subclass to kind of embrace a few terminologies for what they use. And it's going to work across all the subclasses to kind of work for both negative effects and then positive effects. So for Void, they want to embrace negative status effects of either suppression, weaken, or volatile. Suppression, the target is knocked out of any active abilities. Same way you guys know you suppress stuff now. Weaken, they take more damage and has their movement slowed. And then volatile, the target is afflicted with unstable void energy and will explode upon taking additional damage or on death. So it makes them kind of a ticking time bomb. 3 positive effects they're working on: Void Overshield, Protective Barrier, Void Light, which reduces damage taken from combatants, Invisibility, and Devour. Feast on energy from your foes, kills restore your health, grant grenade energy, and extend Devour. I really wish my Titan could embrace the world of Devour, but that might be a little busted.
Here we go with the Titan E-Bag and continue.
No, my more mean is like Invisibility, Devour. Like Invisibility, you go Hunter. Overshield, you go this. So it was like, if they really like get into like fragments or anything, I don't know if they'll go that far. Because like invisibility is like a Hunter thing, Devour's a Warlock thing, Shield's obviously a Titan thing. But if they really let you mix and match in the world of Void, I don't know if they will, but that would definitely make things even spicier. I just don't know if they're going to get that far.
So based on an interview that Justin Truman did, it sounds like that is the case. Like all the classes are going to have.
See, I wondered because he said something about that with Devour, right? He was talking about that.
Yeah. He said he was excited that Devour, I forgot how he phrased it, but basically it implied that all classes are getting that. It's not just exclusive to Warlocks.
Making the game too accessible. I don't like, I want to have it to myself. I want
accessibility.
Should get it tattooed.
Yeah, Forcato said it as well. It's like they won't excel at everything, but you'll have access. So there's going to be some synergies. Probably the Warlocks are probably still going to be the best at Devour, but in theory, my Titan might be able to dabble with a fragment that might do something. So
I actually think that's a great change. Use all the mechanics.
Yeah, it really lets you kind of dabble, maybe get kind of a weird, funky build for a Titan, but you see a Titan coming and you're like, I don't even know what he's going to do anymore because they have all the customization, which makes it fun. So Night Stalker Hunter, basically they gave some examples of stuff. They don't go through every single detail, but they say for Night Stalker Hunter, Shadow Shot, Mobius Quiver, Super. Fires 2 volleys of 3 void arrows in a cone, which seek out enemies and spawn void anchors on impact. Shadow Shot makes tethered enemies volatile and deals increased damage to tethered targets. One of the main usability pain points of the current iteration of Mobius Quiver is having to press the super input a whole bunch of times to fire each arrow individually. Some people will be sad they can't fly by using it, but that's a thing. Which is cumbersome, takes a lot of time, often results in players drifting somewhere they didn't intend to be, which I've definitely shot a super into a ceiling. By firing multiple arrows at once, it should be a lot easier to blanket an area with traps in preparation for a fight or put burst damage on a boss. So that one seems pretty cool. Stylish Executioner, it's an aspect. Defeating a weakened, suppressed, or volatile target grants invisibility and true sight. After performing a stylish execution, your next melee attack while invisible weakens enemies. And then they said a twist on Middle Tree Night Stalker's current flawless execution perk. This aspect lets the hunter specialize in defeating debuffed enemies to keep looping their invisibility. So I mean,
Nice.
Thoughts? Do you guys? I mean, for any hunter players specifically, like, and anybody in chat as well. Do you guys have any thoughts of taking Mobius Quiver into like 2 cones that you would basically kind of the way hunters throw 2 sets of knives? It's going to be 2 cones of arrows now. Easier, better. Feel like you're taking away control. Is it a good thing? Anybody have an opinion?
Yeah. Thoughts?
I mean, overall, I think this is like people have been asking since Destiny 2 came out to give us the D1 subclass tree, but Bungie has this thing where when we request old things, they don't just like giving us the old thing. They want to reinvent it, and sometimes for better or worse. That's sort of just how it is. And Stasis was definitely, or the way they did the Stasis subclass was definitely a test to see could this work in other systems. And I think when Luke Smith said the thing he said that we were referencing, I think they were still trying to figure out I think that was
Yeah.
before Beyond Light came out. So I think they were still trying to assess like how do they approach this. Should we update them? Should we just leave them the way they are?
Right.
And they definitely aged. And I mean, to their credit, they did update various trees of each subclass over the years, like Top Tree John Blade and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like way overdue in my opinion. Like I think this needed to happen at least a year ago at the very earliest. But I'm glad they're finally doing it. I'm glad they're going to roll it out slowly.
Yeah.
So it's not a fusser cluck of just this crazy stuff going on. Because I mean, stasis was clearly a challenge for them. Like they've admitted that when they introduced it.
Yep.
So and then they've been very clear that when they're going to redo these, that they're going to be careful about how they do everything. So I'm happy with this stuff. I mean, it's I'm bummed that Solar's not first because that means Well's going to get shafted for Witch Queen. But
we gotta see how it's gonna play out for us. Trav, you seem like you're bubbling.
No, I think this is great. I am encouraged by this. I think it needed to happen. I'm surprised we're getting it as soon as we are.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see how it works. I think Void's a great place to start on the Titan side because Titans definitely need some love in the Void category. But I think kind of all of the Void subclasses are. Maybe I'm misremembering them, but it seems like every
Nova
every
Warp
class
just
has
got a
problem
buff.
with Void.
I like
Nova Warp is probably Warlocks are probably now in the best spot, but they were previously complaining about their Void subclasses all the time. Hunters have complained about Night Stalker for a million years, and Titans, I think, have never really nailed the Void subclass ever since the introduction of the Shield versus the Bubble. And it almost seems that subclass almost seems primed for there to be a system similar to Stasis because it's trying to do so many things.
Yeah.
Bubble, and then also the shield that you hold out, and then also the one you throw and hit things with. It's just like it's too many supers all in one. So,
I mean, the biggest.
I'm excited to have that broken out.
I was just gonna the biggest thing for a Void Titan is always the middle tree. If you get that Void damage explosion and then it starts chaining, like you throw the one grenade, you get like just the fireworks. That's always the thing I want to have equipped, but you can't do that in Bubble. Well, Sentinel Titan, Overwatch. And this is actually going to change it up too, which is interesting. Cast a Void Empowered Barricade to grant a Void Overshield to yourself and nearby allies. The Empowered Barricade slowly regenerates the Void Overshield of allies bunkering behind it. We want players to be able to lean into the Sentinel fantasy of being the frontline protector for your team, so Overwatch is a powerful tool for setting up prior to an encounter and providing a safe haven to fall back to when things get spicy. So they're actually changing. It sounds like, I don't know if Bubble is actually going away specifically because they just got done tweaking it, which is weird to where like you can actually like kill the Bubble pretty easily if you don't have high resilience. But it does sound like Overwatch is going to be this new Void wall that buffs people around it as opposed to a dome of safety, which seems kind of interesting. Also, shield toss, they said projectile melee. Hurl your shield towards an enemy. The shield can ricochet off enemies and surfaces, granting we kind of know how that works. We want to give Titans more options when it comes to projectile melees. Shield toss is a great choice for aggressively pushing towards a group of enemies, softening them up and giving you extra slaying power. So they're actually going to make the shield toss like a projectile melee, and we haven't had that because picture Celestial Fire for a Warlock, or what's the Supernova one that I always gave you a hard time about? I'm finally gonna have
handheld Supernova.
Yeah. But it's cool. Like, we're getting a projectile melee that fits with the subclass. So it's like these are exciting changes for everybody. I think because we're getting flexibility and they're getting back to subclasses they haven't touched in years. And as they said, some of them since D1 have been pretty stuck. Gotta get Cog on this one. The Warlock Pocket Singularity projectile melee. Launch a tracking unstable ball of void energy that detonates when it's near enemies, pushing enemies away from the blast and making them volatile. Designed as an anti-dive tool, which I still don't know if I understand the wording of what that's doing. And a way to push enemies out of cover with careful placement. It's possible and incredibly satisfying to boop enemies up in the air and then pop their volatile with a well-placed headshot before they hit the ground. I'm sure somebody's going to have a buff of that. And they actually mentioned an aspect for the Warlocks for like the aspects and fragments. So Child of the Old Gods. Cast your rift to summon a sentient black hole which hovers at your side, waiting for a target. It will launch itself at enemies, then begin siphoning their energy and weakening them, refunding their life force. This is true. I've never seen a life steal in this game, so that's actually kind of new. Back to you as either grenade or melee energy. Oh, so it's not actually health. If you were using healing rift, or health if you're using an empowering rift. So it's actually got some kind of counter functionality to your rift.
Nice.
Defeating enemies who are being siphoned by the child. By the child, that sounds weird.
By the child.
Will refund some rift energy. Child of the Old Gods is a strong debuff tool that gives void walkers an additional way to lock down an area while sustaining themselves. Like, they're going big on this stuff, and if this is just what they're doing for void, I mean, Solar and Arc like cannot get here soon enough in my book. These just sound like exciting changes. The flexibility of just even taking that, Void Sentinel and taking, normally I want a bubble, or now the new big giant wall shield, whatever it's going to be, but I want things to explode when I hit them with my Void Grenade. You can finally do that, and we've been asking for this forever, as opposed to Tree 1 or Tree 2 or Tree 3. Yeah. And now it's like finally getting back to that. So I'm pumped about this because this dives more into the RPG, like make your own build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to me, if that's for the people who love D1, that was part of the fantasy, right? Part of the fantasy. I'm not saying they necessarily executed it all the way in D1, but part of the fantasy was that you had some control over the build, and you can do that. And I ain't gonna lie to y'all, like, admittedly, since Stasis has dropped, it released, like, I use Stasis a lot primarily in PvE, almost to the point where it is really, I mean, unless it's a raid and you definitely need, a well-radiance warlock, and Luna factions, I begrudgingly like, all right, guys, I know for the Templar and for the DPS, you need me to do it. I get it because the situation calls for it. But I've been exclusively using Stasis. And to the point where, like, controlling points, whether I use my Frost Pulse for the Rift, freezing, whether I use the turret, the stuff like, I feel like I have more control, and especially the aspects, going to specific play styles and stuff like that. And to see 3.0 go further and push limits and really add new mechanics and new aspects, that is super exciting to me. So yeah, like I love the customization aspect of it, because I feel I can be diverse for different activities and stuff like that. So this is great. I love all of this.
Gentlemen, Travis, Teddy,
I'm surprised to hear you say you use PvE Stasis. I almost never equip it since I buffed it.
I'm addicted to PvE
Then again,
Stasis.
Titan's got hit pretty hard.
I was like,
yeah, because you know what is, yeah,
Titan Stasis in PvE, honestly, like is only okay, because first you have to slam. If you do the super, it's kind of directional. It's not this just like, oh, everything around me is frozen. Now everything's exploded. I got to go run up and bust everything. I've missed with my Stasis with melee probably as many times as I've hit.
Oh, damn.
With that,
yeah, because the slidiness.
The slidiness, and then, like, depending on when you let go of the trigger, if you're close enough or not. Something about that, just like the tracking. They messed with Titan melee tracking in the first place for, like, the charges. Especially in PvP, there's plenty of times where I, like, should have hit and probably didn't. And I know the auto U-turn tracking is a thing, but, like, somehow that Stasis melee for me, and I could just suck with it. I get it. But
no, I've heard the same thing.
I've missed a lot with that Titan melee, and I'm like, damn. I just tend not to use it.
No, I hear the same thing. I think I ask Teddy. I don't know how he feels about it with Shadebinder, but I just feel Shadebinder is so versatile. And then I could, like, on Grandmasters, I'm controlling the whole battlefield, like just freezing and stopping and throwing.
You have a stasis turret. You have a stasis mate. You can shut down half the room.
You could shut down, and then remember I told you that Traveler's Chosen, which is now giving me high uptime on grenades, high uptime. Like, the builds you can play with Warlock and Stasis. I will admit, I can't speak for the hunters, but I feel dominant with Shadebinder. I did my first Grandmaster with Shadebinder.
At least I can put up a wall that gets destroyed in 2 shots.
And our bubble gets destroyed even quicker now, because unless you're running 10 resilience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what's wrong with that? I don't see a problem.
I see Stormcaller. Shout out to the Stormcaller Warlocks that's busting y'all bubbles right now.
Did you see that tweet just above? Poof, gone. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Is that one of the first supers that's been affected by a stat? By the way, I'm kind of wondering.
That's interesting. I think they should do that more, to be honest, because then you could build your classes like stat build around the super. Yeah. They would just need to redo their system to make it more like clear because I wouldn't know like how easy is it to break my bubble based on my resilience and that sort of stuff. But yeah, Titans are getting the squeeze right now. I think some of that will change with the.
I agree.
With
You guys
the
gotta get a buff.
balancing. Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Titans don't complain. We're not hunters.
True.
What about you, Teddy? What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Anything sound cool, or just is there anything that you can picture as a combination of stuff that you're like, I want to put these two trees together? Is there anything you're just like waiting to toy with?
Yeah, the ability trade off between the rifts or the lifesteal. I think that's really smart because you're getting the opposite. It allows you to get this like really high uptime, which is what they say. And you kind of already do that with Devour. Like that's already kind of how you need to play that subclass to get the full use out of it. But it's the same thing I said earlier. Like I think the system is just it's what we asked for the D1 system, and they gave us something better.
Yes,
and that's what we
preach,
want, right? Like you're the ability to have the choices that you have are just, and it shows now more than ever. I think now that we have all the aspects and fragments for stasis, like you said, Shadebinder in PvE is just nuts,
bro.
Just the turret alone is nuts. And then you have your melee, you have the super's really good. That's the de facto Warlock super for most GMs. You're not even running well anymore because you just die in your well anyway. And it's like, well, might as well at least have something offensive that I can give them a taste of their own medicine.
And give decent boss DPS.
Right.
It's the most versatile super. Go on.
Yeah. No, but that's it. I mean, like, we've gone through all the changes, and I think it's just, I'm excited. Like, I just want to see them.
Fair enough.
I mean, Titans are getting a little shafted, but I think it'll come around. At least we're going to get Bubble for Witch Queen Raid, so it means Titans are going to be a little more valuable.
We'll still beat you in Crucible. We're not worried about it.
Striker's pretty good in Crucible right now.
Yeah.
Striker's pretty nice. And hammers. Top tree hammers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been using, actually. Top tree hammers.
Yeah, I always like the tracking / explosion has definitely got me a couple collaterals plenty of times on. That's why I always enjoy hammers, but it's why I try not to live on them. If I'm going to lock down a point, though, for something like Iron Banner, if I go bottom tree hammers and just sit there in my fire, dude, I throw so many. And then if I go Phoenix Cradle, I can just like coat the entire room in this inferno of fire. And I'm just like, come on in. Anybody want in? No? Cool.
Yep. Come play.
So before we jump into just like one last little thing, just kind of seeing where you guys are at for this week for like a little matchmaking discussion, if you guys even want to get into that. I wanted to see, you've had a kind of a week.
Talk about matchmaking enough yet?
No, it was more like Iron Banner and the skill base. Just have you guys noticed a lot of people are posting things on Twitter with regards to matchmaking, like lobbies being kind of wonky, like all over. Have you guys seen what I'm talking about? Yeah. Do you know? Have you felt it either? And that's the other question. If
I would say like 90% of my matches I have ended the match in a mercy, and the other 10% I've been mercied. Like it's been like a 100% mercy rate on my Iron Banner matches. That's been my experience. But again, I'm like playing with friends, or that's not true though. I did some freelance and it was kind of the same thing. So I don't know.
Well, Iron Banner's kind of been like that for a couple seasons now.
Yeah.
But normal PvP, I was also experiencing that last week, and that's usually not the case. They did clarify that the SPMM they didn't change anything, but I think the team balancing is actually what's like messed up. The working theory on like how team balancing works in Destiny is it gives players the numbers are arbitrary, but like just for the sake of example, it gives players a rank from 0 to 10, 0 being like absolutely terrible and then 10 being like god tier. And then the way that it's balancing is like, say like Travis is an 8 or a 9. It'll put Travis, he's like the top player on that team. And then it's going to give him a bunch of 2s and 3s.
Yeah.
But then the other team is a bunch of 4s, 5s, and 6s. So you're averaging the same, but you only have one player on one team who's like actually knows what he's doing, and the other 5 aren't. And so I think that effect has been exacerbated for one reason or another. Some people were suggesting like, oh, more people are in PvE right now because it's the beginning of the season. But I think they did.
Didn't they
change
say
something.
they switched it to a snake draft?
See, I was wondering the same thing. I was like, I wasn't sure about the snake, where it was like kind of just like back and forth
they
potentially.
Talked about doing a snake draft, which is
maybe
much better than what they were doing with averages. But I thought that they were using Iron Banner as their guinea pig for that. I just remember them talking about how the Iron Banner playlist was going to be different. But whatever they're doing, I think the data will probably show it's not working, because there's there's been, anecdotally speaking, obviously I'm not like a data scientist with access to all the information, but it just anecdotally on my end, like it has not been a balanced experience at all.
Right.
So,
I mean, Iron Banner in general, the last year, like I'm always rolling with a 6-stack, and we're always mercing. Like it's pretty rare.
yeah, but your group is the sweatiest of the sweat lords. Like I know who you play with.
I mean,
they make me look casual. The people you play with. I'm serious, dude. He plays with like
I believe.
like 5.0 KD
Jesus.
guys.
Okay,
and,
not that
like,
high.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. They make me look. Dude, are you like one of your guys? Like literally has a 5.0. I've seen it. It's ridiculous.
Jesus.
maybe this season in the playlist, but not like overall.
Damn.
They're all like 2.0, 3.0 people.
Yeah. It's
I
Far
like,
beyond me.
You get carried, and you're not a bad player yourself. You're getting carried by those guys.
But yeah, I mean, it's anyway. Iron Banner's just been like that, regardless. Like
yeah.
whether you're on the receiving end or the one dishing it out.
Yeah.
So something has to change. But overall, I mean, I'm sure in like 2 weeks it's going to go back to the way it was at the end of last season. It's probably just some player shifting, priorities and where players are and whatnot.
Yeah. Like mixed bag for me. You guys said pretty much the same points, just varied results. I just think it's fun when I see the PlayStation logo in there. And I'm like, okay.
Could it be a crossplay thing? Do you think maybe that's some of the imbalances?
That's what I was thinking.
I will say, dude, I matched up against some Stadia people, and like I just felt bad for them because it was over.
You saw more than one in there?
Two Stadia guys on one team. And
You found both of them. Good job.
You found two in the wild?
Yeah. And also, Teddy and I were noticing, like every time we matched against a PlayStation group when we were playing, it was just a slaughter. Like just a
the Xbox guys are popping off right now.
Something to note though, if you can only play PC people if you have a PC person.
If you have a PC person.
Yep. So us playing on PC last night, we were only getting console people because they had a PC person.
Gotcha.
But if you're playing on console, you got the whole, besides PC, you have the entire pool.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe that might be,
could be, yeah.
What's affecting it more than the PC side? I mean, I don't know. For me, the PC stuff, it's largely been the same. Like,
right.
Yeah, because you're not noticing it, but I am when I play with you. I'm like, all right. These are PC players.
Yeah,
so they're worse.
Yeah, but what any experience on that?
I've had a lot of mercies both directions. Both directions. I had that one that I sent you guys for a joke for my one match that was like that was pretty like 125 to 110, and I actually like kind of went off with like 40. So I was like, I had a decent game, but like outside of that one and the one that was literally 125 to 124, there were like two decent ones. Almost every other one was mercied. So there's definitely, it doesn't seem like, it doesn't have to be sweaty all the time, but the scales are tipping pretty hard a lot of the time, it seems. So again, I don't know if it's anything too specific that like anybody could track down right now, but it definitely does seem, I don't know even the best way to say it, just off for whatever reason. It just seems like not as many mercies happened previously, and this does seem like a lot. Yeah. Iron Banner's always going to be a bit skewed and weird, but still.
I got mercied with a 3.0.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. I was just like, wow, that was a really short match. And I was like, did we mercy them? And then I was like, oh, I got mercy.
Yeah, that's funny.
You're like,
those are always the funny way. Like, yo, I'll be like, well, I did my thing. What the hell was going on here?
You're like, oh, I got like 5 kills. Cool. It's like I had half my team's kills. Oh crap. Yeah, we've all been
also a lot of. I think part of the mercying might be the fact that nobody's playing the objective right now because they're just trying to complete the quest.
Yes.
That's the other problem with Iron Banner. Yeah. This one, what was it? Pulses, and then sidearms. Yeah, and
people
then
like, oh, I'm just gonna get sidearm kills, and I'm not gonna worry about capturing zones.
I see people literally stand right next to the zone, and they got their sidearm out, and they just shoot, and I'm just like, all right, let's see what's going on here. No. But your sidearm's decent. I like it. It's decent. I don't know how I feel about the pulse yet. I'm like, what is it, 390?
Cool guy actually has a very interesting video about that one.
Yes, I watched it. He dunked on it. He's like, that reticle's trash. Yeah,
the reticle movement.
Yeah,
the sidearm's not bad.
Sidearm, like True Vanguard was talking about that sidearm. Like, he's a big sidearm guy. I've always noticed him kind of mention those. He was kind of raving about the sidearm I saw somewhere. So he's definitely enjoying that one.
That's my favorite sidearm archetype, actually, because the one that I'm dominant with is the Beyond Light one, the red, white, and blue. What is it? A high albedo or something?
Yeah.
I think it's that 491 archetype is really dominant in my opinion in PvP. I have tremendous success with it. So I think it's that, and it also comes stasis stuff perks with that one, I think, right? With that.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one that can get
Teddy.
headstone on it.
Yeah, go ahead, Teddy. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's right.
The sidearms are kind of, in the last like year and a half, they've been doing a really good job about like slowly updating every archetype of weapon and kind of changing stuff in meaningful ways. Like they're doing much more fine tuning of stuff, and they've gotten a lot better at balancing. Game's not obviously perfect, but sidearms are kind of the last holdout. Like it's the last gun type that really hasn't seen any changes in a long time. Like the fusion rifles and scouts were sort of the other, they were in the same pool, but they just did those this season. So
yes,
it's just sidearms now. So I hope with Witch Queen maybe we finally get a sidearm pass and maybe they actually become usable, because I like them in D1. Like Trespasser and the Iron Banner sidearm in D1 were super fun to use, especially when special ammo was when they like completely,
that was the counter, because you always had that sidearm uptime.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, I hope they bring it back. I do like the new one because it's the 3-burst one, which reminds me of what was it, Last Hope and Last Dance, I think, are the other two.
Give us a sidearm power weapon.
Actually, did you guys? So one more thing. Did you guys notice?
I can't even picture that.
E's face was amazing. Yeah,
I'm like,
it's easy. E, it's easy. It's homing bullets.
There you go.
So the new Iron Banner.
I was like,
weapons,
is it like a Desert Eagle type sidearm?
It's the pistol from Halo Combat Evolved.
You're funny.
Yeah, that actually.
There you go.
There you go. What does it do? Somehow these bullets will kill you like across the map with with one bullet. It's fine.
It's got a sniper scope on it.
Yeah. Teddy, what you were saying about the Iron Banner setting?
So the new Iron Banner weapons, when you triple cap, they glow. Like they have like fire on them. They glow fiery red.
Really?
I hadn't actually noticed that. I gotta pay
I
attention.
never noticed that. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I noticed that last night we were playing because I was doing my sidearm kills, and the first time it happened, I was kind of like, "Oh, that's weird. My gun's on fire. That's kind of odd." And then it happened again. I'm like, "Oh, it's because we're triple capping. That's kind of cool."
Ah, that's dope. I didn't know that. Yeah, shout out to the weapons.
I don't know if it does it with last season's the shotgun and the machine gun, but
Wristwalker probably would. It's the same model.
It does it with these two. So
yeah, shout out to the weapon design. They've been good. I don't know about that armor though. I do not know about that armor at all. That armor is not it. Iron Banner armor. Yes.
Speaking of the armor,
I haven't got it yet, but I don't mind the general glance at it though.
Such
Warlocks
good
is
stat
terrible.
rolls on it though. I'm gonna transmog that set because I was getting like 65s all day.
There's a new like armor set thing that they kind of introduced with this Iron Banner gear, where the more pieces you wear, up to 4 pieces, you have a higher chance of getting an enhancement prism.
Yep.
Oh, that's right.
For endgame players, for us, that's not really an issue because I'm just rolling in prisms, but I can see it for a more like kind of get on every night type of person. Like that's a great way to get enhancement prisms. You're just not like you're just playing the game and they're going to give them to you. I don't know what the drop rate is, and I'm assuming you have to wear all 4 pieces, but
yeah.
Like
where's the
cool.
indicator, Teddy, on like?
So when you inspect the armor,
it's on. It's on.
It's at the bottom, like where an exotic perk would normally be for a weapon.
Oh, it tells. Okay.
Yeah, it says.
And for this set, it's only if you play Iron Banner and you're wearing the Iron Banner.
You have to wear that armor.
So the flavor text says, and then you have to have a certain amount of pieces to have it.
The more you have, the more you have, the higher the chance.
Up to
the higher the chance.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
At minimum 1, a maximum of 4, because you also have an exotic on.
Got it.
Exotic, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So
and y'all saw the.
I've been wanting them to do armor sets forever. Like when they did the Gambit stuff. Like I mean it was busted and it totally didn't work. But like and they did it for Revelry too. It was a cool thing, but like. They just have never done it again, and I mean this isn't like amazing, but it's just cool to have it, right? Like, so,
it's something.
Well, that's about as good of a segue as I can possibly ask for. But I'm just gonna jump my own question because of what I was trying to wait, and you guys just kept going on Iron Banner.
Sorry.
No, you were good. I was just waiting for an opening, but I didn't quite get one.
Go for it.
I was thinking of what you guys from Witch Queen. If there's anything else you thought about from Witch Queen, or if there's anything else you didn't see that you wanted to. And mine was armor 3.0 of any kind. Because
you got stasis armor.
That's not it. I'm going to be straight up. That's not it. Because even with stasis as it is right now, all that is just match another color so you can use different mods. And they've mentioned still, okay, fine, I'll take 5 pieces of armor that I get this season, turn them all to stasis, and masterwork them, and then I really don't need... Then I have 4 sets of armor to keep, not 3, but that's literally the only difference. And then I never need armor again because all that stuff's gone. So my biggest thing that I'm... And again, I know they didn't show everything with regards to Witch Queen, but the biggest thing that I want to see is have... Armor's got to work differently for me. Armor crafting by Lightfall, maybe. Yeah, that'd be beautiful. But, like, if all we're doing is just... getting the same, like, if you get a good stat roll for your build, there is no reason to go after like more than half of your gear without, like the set bonus for Iron Banner is kind of cool. Is that going to be, are we going to get set bonuses? Is there going to be anything? But that was
to double down on set bonuses because they don't have like randomly rolled perks like weapons do on armor. And I think if they implemented something like that, people would be pissed because people love to change their armor perks out all the time and that sort of stuff, or their mods. So I think they have to just do set bonuses, right? Like, what is your suggestion for?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, what would satisfy you?
Well, even if it's like tweaks of mentioned stuff that I've mentioned before, like, hey, higher end activities, or if you go do the legendary campaign, you can earn some of the Witch Queen campaign armor that has more energy to it. Just, I want some tweaks to the armor. If they can't go big, like, like stats on the armor only do so much. You could literally, if it's got an okay roll, your end game's not really going to completely change if you have like a 20 here or a 10 here or a 5 here. You can probably get through most content even with okay stats. The stats don't feel like they have much weight to them in the first place. Like mobility doesn't make you run faster. That still blows my mind. Resilience is only useful for a Titan, and you guys would much rather just not have it on there most of the time. And then the other's just like recharge times. And I know that dives deeper into the RPG, and they haven't mentioned it. And again, we're talking about like, how much bandwidth do they have in COVID and stuff like that? But for, I don't know, maybe you can earn more energy so you can use more freedom with mods, since they just jacked up the scavenger mods anyway.
Should armor have perks in addition to mods?
I would be okay with, even if it's just like one, I don't know, just some way to give me more of a reason to go after armor, because if I take a stasis set and I masterwork all of those, I can literally basically just like delete the rest of my Titan armor outside of exotics and never need one again for legendary either, because I've got, it may not be and then it's like, oh, I got a slightly better stat roll. Okay, I switch that one out and then my current shoes are still going to be chilling. So for me, it's just hope of something, because they even mentioned it. I guess that's why I still have hope. And because at some point Shogorath said, especially now with transmog being a thing that you're not even looking at it, at some point, we got to make sure that you're not just replacing your stats every year. Yeah. And now we're not even replacing stats every year because sunsetting's gone. So they wanted to do that before sunsetting. And now that sunsetting's here, there's even more of a reason, because what you have is never leaving.
Right. And that's why I know you go hard for sunset, because I think sunset counteracts exactly what you're looking for. And it could be preventative to that. But go ahead, Travis, you was going to say something before I go on.
I was just going to ask you guys, because I don't really know this. What is the point of Ascendant Shards if you never have to masterwork any armor after your first like 3 sets or whatever?
Good question. Why do Grandmasters over and over and over?
Yeah, it seems like a currency that the endgame community really cares about, and I don't, because
you don't do it. No, I think what it is too is like, because armor now, as I talked about the stasis armor, there are very high quality perks that are locked behind energy armor sets. So solar,
but that's one time, right? You get one set and you make that your stasis set.
Right. So, but for each one, I guess people just say, they really want to go with the, I don't even call it min maxing, but it's just they really want those high end, perks on the void or the solar or whatever. And there's so many perks that are exclusive per thing. And I guess they just want to have those 3 to 4 of them, and they're locked in.
Like at that so point. Far I've got I've got a masterwork set for my Titan, a solar, an arc, and a void, fully masterworked. So at this point, how many does it take to ascend one piece of armor? 1 shard?
One.
Okay.
Right. Exotics are 3.
And then prisms. Yeah, exotics are 3.
Exotics are 3, yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to have a vault full of masterworked exotic armor and everyone's a good roll, that's about the only place you would put it. And that is such a short list of people. who probably would be. Teddy is for sure. There's a couple of you, but I was
I've always not had a lot of Ascendant shards and Ascendant prisms and all that stuff, and I've never needed them. So I'm always confused when people are like, "Oh, it's double golf ball weekend. I'm gonna ground." I'm like, "What are you doing?
Yeah,
like, what are you actually doing with these golf balls?"
Because
I don't get it.
it's now the min-max game, which is like, for a warlock, I want high, like I got like 100 intellect, 100 recovery. Uptime. Uptime is just so key for me. For again, just talk about the warlock playstyle. So that's what it is. Those three key stats, and what it is when you masterwork with Teddy, don't you get the +10 or +5?
12. It's 2 on
top,
each.
on each different thing. So now you get to push into certain thresholds where you get these really spiky builds on certain stats. That it's minutia. You know what I'm saying?
It's sorry to cut you off. It's basically just like, it's just min-maxing. Like,
it's min-maxing.
For me, it's if I can get on and grind a nightfall, 5 or 6 times in a night, and I can get 0.5% better, I'm cool with that. The problem that I have, and you guys kind of alluded to this, is all my armor is 64 or higher.
Yeah.
And I have so many different variations of different spikes that I like.
Yep.
So in order for me to replace an armor piece, now that the sunsetting is not a thing, it has to be 65 or higher.
Yep.
Or the distribution has to be in such a way that it lines up with one of the sets that I have that I want to swap something out, and it'll make that a little bit better. But the problem is that the only place this really ever matters is in a Grandmaster. And you don't feel this in your moment-to-moment gameplay, because, having that extra 2 seconds shaved off my grenade or whatever, like it's all passive stuff in the background.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. The other issue that we haven't brought up is the mods are now very oversaturated. When they introduced Armor 2.0, we didn't have that many mods. But now, especially that final slot, you're competing for so many different things that you want to equip. And then for PvE, Protective Light, you always have to have it on for in-game content. And that takes a minimum of two slots, because you charge light plus protected light.
Sure, yeah.
And so then you're only left with 3 slots that you can use for Void Wells, Warmind cells. I mean, there's so much that there is there. So I want them to rework it. I don't think it's going to come with Witch Queen.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine if there were just like 3 or 4 slots and you could pick anything to go in those? I mean,
I do think.
Just like I want them to change it up to a point where, as you said, like you're beyond most of us, even the 3 of us, because you've farmed way beyond the rest of us. If you're like, I'm 64s, I got everything covered, you probably have a set of everything. Your stasis set, if it's not done, it'll be done this season. So when you go into Witch Queen, why do you need armor besides looks?
Valid point.
So that's what I was going to get at is.
In the words of Orson Krennic, farming really a man of your talent.
Good reference.
Good reference.
It's a peaceful life. So with every expansion or new release in Destiny 2's case, they've invalidated our progress in some way, whether it was both weapons and armor or just weapons and armor.
Yep.
They haven't said anything for Witch Queen explicitly, but I do think that they will, like, there's going to be a new version of either armor or weapon that they're going to introduce that you're not going to completely like throw out the old stuff, but it's going to slowly replace it. Because you're going to want that new stuff. And my hope is that it's armor instead of weapons, but I think it will be weapons because of the crafting stuff. The way they're talking about crafting makes it seem like, that you're going to have options. Like you're going to work on one weapon for a long time and you don't, because he made a reference to like, oh, you don't need 3 glaives in your vault. You're just gonna have the 1 glaive, and you go to the crafting table, and then you can like upgrade it and change stuff on it over time. And so that's why I think it's gonna be weapons over armor. But I want them to change the armor system in a more impactful way, because I have no reason. Like I said, the armor has to be 65 or higher for me to keep it.
I agree.
And that's already asking a lot. Like it's extremely rare that an armor piece drops 65 or higher for me.
Yeah,
that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think that's the source of E's frustration, and I feel him, because it's like where he's getting into the sunken place, like how we were with Trials. Like he's in that dark zone. Like they don't care about me, and I love it. There's a part of me that loves it, because now he knows how I feel when Trials took forever. Me and Travis was suffering so hard for them to even talk about it, and it just seems that they're not talking. But I do think it will happen. My concern is because I know how much you want it, my concern for you is how robust is it actually going to be? And is that going to be satisfactory for you? And in order for it to be satisfactory, I think there probably needs to be kind of like what Teddy said, either one or two things where this new 3.0 eventually is going to clean out the old, right?
Yeah.
Or what you may, the sunsetting with the armor and stuff like that. So they've got to figure it out. I don't envy them with that.
Like sunsetting of armor was just going to be sunsetting of weapons helps
well, just
them
sunsetting
with
in general, right?
Well, sunsetting of weapons is going to help them with things like they'd love to probably slowly phase out like Rampage and Kill Clip if they're trying to get these more unique perks to be, as Travis said, a little bit more viable. Right. You don't see those nearly as often.
They're not saying
but
those
with
perks.
armor, it was going to be more annoying because you're like, I have a good roll. What's going to happen when I sunset? I want the same thing. That's the thing they've got to get rid of. So however and again, if they do like with Forsaken, random rolls kind of phased out the early stuff. Then we've got, that type of thing. As Teddy said, that's the type of thing. You need a reason to get the new stuff. You might be good with your set for a while, but at some point you're like, all right, there's things over here. The functionality I need on the new stuff is something that I'm going to want going forward. And you can work on slowly mixing that in, but it needs to have something big enough that somebody like Teddy, who's good to go, is willing to literally go after new sets for a reason. And it's got to be kind of big. And that's why, again, they haven't mentioned anything. They have 6 months, but that's my one. I didn't mean to steal this entire piece of the conversation, by the way. But like, that's my one thing. That's my one thing. Like, Witch Queen is amazing, amazing, amazing. But if they don't do anything with armor, it's still like 5/8 of my gear. That's like, okay.
I have a prediction. I think this is Bungie. They're not stupid. They recognize it. I think the issue comes down to the way the roadmap is structured, and I think what your want is contingent on is the classes and stuff getting done first. So I think that's what's happened. So you're on, like, we're in the room, you're on the board, but until Void, Solar, Consolidation, then they really could do what they want to do. And I think you're gonna get it. It's just gonna be, sadly, I know I was hoping too by Witch Queen it'd be here, and I thought we would be here, but let's be real, Trial set them back crazy. We were coming at their throats, you know what I'm saying? We're just now getting that. Now the consolidation of subclasses and stuff like that, crossplay. That's all it is. I just think you just got bumped down, but I think you will get it. It's gonna probably I don't want to say final shape, but
it's gonna be
it's gonna be a minute.
Lightfall.
Lightfall.
Because they have to do the subclass.
Then the subclass,
the armor's gonna go right into that, right?
Yes.
It's gonna affect like the perks and that stuff if they redo it. So
I agree.
They have to do the classes first.
I agree.
And also, the classes are frankly more important. Like that, the armor's not.
You breaking E's heart. You breaking E's heart. Careful.
It's just not interesting. It doesn't make you make interesting decisions, but it's not like it's actively broken like some of the subclasses are. They're just filled with imbalances and stuff. Those need to go first.
Yeah, so. And then remember the rumored additional class too, right? The whether it be poison or whatever,
vapor,
which is not coming until Lightfall. They've confirmed that. So,
but at least they've even acknowledged it, right?
Yeah, they actually said it's not coming this time. They
the fact that it exists.
In Witch Queen.
In Witch Queen.
They're not going to drop that in a season.
Could be before.
Ooh.
I doubt they would drop a subclass without an expansion.
It's a new destiny. It's a new life. We don't know what this new Bungie
The only reason I'm going to
is.
say that is because we've specifically talked about the marketing machine, and if you're going to sell an expansion, you put a subclass in it.
Also, the fact that they're splitting up each light subclass into a season, they're going to use that as marketing for sure.
Oh yeah. That's how you sell. That's how you sell.
That's exactly how it sounds. Like, Solar subclass is getting revamped. Hell yeah, I'm going to jump in.
Got him. Here's my 25.
I will say this.
I have no rebuttal.
As my kind of final thought on
Let's go.
This stuff. So every season before the expansion, they kind of do this thing where they fatten us up and they're like,
yep.
All right, here's the season of the loot. Yeah. It's really easy to get the loot. And then the expansion comes and it's like, all that stuff you did, it kind of doesn't matter.
Facts.
Put that in the trash. And they've been doing it. They figured that formula out with Opulence.
Yes.
And they've been doing it ever since. So
completely agree, Teddy. That is the playbook.
Yeah.
Well, I apparently made my own topic with Armor 3.0 hopes, but is there anything else you guys, with regards to Witch Queen, that you wanted to mention before we wrap it up, since we are at close to 3-hour stream?
Yeah, no,
What's missing from Witch Queen aside from Armor 3.0?
I mean, just is there anything else with regards to Witch Queen that, like, you thought was really cool that we hadn't talked about previously, or just, as I said, kind of a hope that's not in there yet?
Are we talking about leaks? Because there was a leak this week.
Ooh,
There's a new one.
there was a new one.
Yeah, Teddy, we talked about it.
Can we tell?
Well, it's kind of
can
an
we tell
old one, but it got confirmed.
Can we tell the fans to avert their ears?
Yeah.
His eyes went real wide. Is this about to be a big giant spoiler warning, wave your hand situation?
We got a spoil. So there was a leak a long time ago.
Okay, hold on.
The
Let's
paste
go.
bin that
giant
I'm
spoiler.
not going to go. I'm not going to go into it.
Okay,
I'm not gonna
okay.
go into it.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying there was a paste bin from a long time ago, and then this week there was new stuff that surfaced that confirmed one of the major pieces of that. More or less confirmed it. It's like a 90% certainty as far as I'm concerned, and that is what Teddy and I have been talking about. So that's sort of a big Witch Queen. Like, it's probably going to be.
We might cover that one off air, just so we don't have like spoilers in the episode.
I won't spoil it, but basically there's something in the Witch Queen trailer. You have to really pay attention. Like you need to be
freeze frame.
Like,
it's technically not a leak. It is in the trailer.
Adobe Premiere, frame by frame situation.
It's one of them frame by frame joints.
You got to really look at this and then pause it, and it's super tiny, and you got to recognize it, and then you'll know what it is. But it essentially confirmed a large chunk of the paste bin, or a major point, I should say, not a large chunk. I mean, most of the paste bin at this point has been true. There's only a couple things,
but some of it has been wrong, as Cog and I pointed out last week. Some of it has been wrong.
Cool.
Well, apparently, if you want to go look up that thing, go look it up. See if you figure out what they're talking about.
Go do it your damn self.
Yeah, I don't want to do it on here. We've had a good, fun, clean episode. I don't want like a big spoiler warning at the end of this thing.
You got New Rad, man. I love it. New Rad, yo, we hear the rumors. New Rad be shooting that down. He be like, yo, it's bulk, it's garbage. Shout out to New Rad. I love it. He dispels them.
I also hate leaks. It's the worst thing ever.
Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be episode number 164. It's about a 6-hour episode. By the
point two.
Yeah, 164.2, part 2, whatever you guys want to call it. The encore, post intermission.
Yes.
Thank you for attending this live production of The Last Word.
Episode 164. Part 1 and 2 can be listened combined, if you like.
That's right.
Just a 6-hour upload on YouTube. People just lose their minds.
Yeah, do a separate upload, man. Unabridged.
Unabridged.
I know, right?
The unabridged, yeah.
With 15 minutes of intermission music in between the two episodes, so it can really feel like an intermission.
Little countdown timer.
You can put like an audience talk track over it, so it sounds like people are like talking amongst themselves. Yeah.
I'm done.
That's my proposal for that video.
I don't know if the 6-hour video is going to do too hot in the algorithm, but we'll maybe later. But man, Teddy, couldn't have had you for more of a stellar, seriously, double encore marathon episode. I don't know if this one buys you like 40 episodes, or if we'll get back on the 21. I don't know how much time this buys you, but we'll definitely get you back in when it's needed. But if you got anything you got cooking up, anything where people can find you, what you're doing, or just like, hey, I have a really fun hobby. If you want to talk to me about it, I'm your guy. Like, what do you got going, cooking or otherwise, sir?
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure to sit down with the family and
you already know
and get the talk going. We had some heated discussions that will get more heated when we stop recording.
Yeah.
But you can follow me on Twitter at TeasingTeddy. I'm sure it's in the video. It's all one word. I'm usually just posting memes or trolling someone I work with. I don't take Twitter seriously at all. So if you try to take me seriously, I will troll you back. My pinned tweet is a picture of Fran Mirabella's signed copy of Mario Kart Double Dash. So if that doesn't give you an indication of like what kind of memes I like in my life, then maybe don't. But lately I've been working a lot of console modding and different things like that. So if you're into that stuff, sometimes I do post some of the crazy, stupid things that Travis has told me that I'm wasting my time doing. Like last night, I spent about 4 hours attempting to figure out how to circumvent DHCP for my PS3 so I can capture my PS3.
my
and
God.
I failed.
Luke
So
out here doing the Lord's work.
it was a complete waste of time, and I wish I could have taken it back. But yeah, I think tonight I might dive into some other consoles because I gotta get this all set up for work and whatnot. But that's what I got going on. So thanks again. This is always fun. I'm always happy to talk Destiny and
You already know.
rage a little inside. This is like it's like therapy, you know.
It's
like,
therapy. Yeah, it's like therapeutic
it
for
is,
us.
yeah.
Yeah, we get it out. We get it out.
Helps me get all
This
my
is the boys right here.
That's right.
It's the boys. It's the family.
Welcome to the last
Family.
word therapy session. Please lay down on the couch. Please lay down on the couch and tell me, how has Destiny pained you this week?
Point to where Destiny touched you.
Oh, I
was
knew
about
he
to
was
say-
going to do
I
it.
was about to say
I was
Travis.
trying to be reasonable.
Yep.
Completely killed it.
It
Oh,
touched your
Travis.
DHCP. you said?
Yes.
Travis took it left as he does. No doubt.
Did it
You
touch
can
you in
also
the?
find
Did
me
it
on
touch you in the
Twitter.
battle eye?
I can't with
She
y'all.
gave me battle pink eye.
I can't.
You can also find me on Twitter. Unlike Teddy, I take Twitter extremely seriously. All my posts are just pieces of art. I don't have a pinned post. I don't know how to do that. And you can also you can read my previews, reviews, and articles on IGN.com. Today, or maybe tomorrow, I have a preview. No. Oh, wait, yeah, that's not going live until next week. Okay, I can talk about it, but it's not. The embargo is next week. I did a preview of World War Z Aftermath, which is the new expansion coming out for that zombie apocalypse game, which is pretty cool. So you can read that and watch the video next week. And then, yeah, other than that, I'll be here on this show. And then I also do a show on Sunday mornings called Bitcast, where I talk about games that aren't Destiny. Except last week, I spent like 35 minutes talking about Destiny. on
Good.
that show.
Educate
I mean,
Ames.
that's-
Everyone hated me.
Great.
It was awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Love
it
it.
was beautiful.
I mean,
Yeah.
in the grand.
I also warned all the viewers to not play Destiny if they're not playing it currently. They were like, how would you recommend people get in? And I was like, don't. Like, just if you're not already in, like, don't do it.
Don't
like,
do it.
please don't was my
Do it.
recommendation.
Use me as an example. Say this is what you can become.
This is what you.
Yeah, I was like,
You
I was
just
like,
don't
go
do
to
it.
What are you? What are you? The
Twitter.
cautionary tale?
Yeah.
Yes.
The cautionary tale of Teddy.
like-
The addiction is real. We have to take him to Destiny Anonymous every week.
I've
I
told
showed him a
Travis.
picture of Teddy after a marathon of Destiny, and I said, "Do you want to look like this? Do you want to have this guy's life?"
You did not.
Look at his Twitter.
You did
No,
not.
I didn't. I should have though. It would have been
Sad.
probably more impactful.
I've told Travis this before many times, but I'll say this publicly. A lot of times when I boot Destiny up, I try to figure out how I can do things as fast as possible so I don't have to play Destiny as much as I should be playing or can
Dude,
be playing it.
And actually, it's gotten to the point where I question whether he likes Destiny at all at this point.
I
because
do.
One of
It's
the
like a
things
drug
he was
addiction he
looking up
can't
was-
quit.
He was looking up videos for how to do stuff in the Ascendant Plane, the Shattered Plane or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this is like the one fun thing that Destiny added that is like fun to discover on your own. And you're literally figuring out how to just like bypass all the puzzles and exploration to get out as quickly as possible. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, I'm actually really enjoying just not using any guides for that.
Yeah.
But Teddy
Good
is like
to
at
know
this
my
point
YouTube
where-
videos did not come from
Yeah, I
you.
was about to
Thanks.
say they just ain't get my boy no SEO.
never.
They ain't get that boy no YouTube.
dude,
Don't worry,
I
I
watch
got
his,
you.
Like,
I
I
can
YouTube
talk
get
to
you
him
video.
for
video
3
a
hours
year.
every week. I don't need to
Yeah.
listen to him anymore in the middle of the week. 3 hours is all he gets.
Teddy was using your video though. I know he wouldn't go to anyone else for content.
Oh
right?
yeah,
Teddy?
yeah. I definitely click on the first one that came up.
Your nose right now is like
Yeah.
out the screen,
Yeah.
dude. You just busted my monitor with your long. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I literally, I was waiting for him to pull up the video. We were in party chat and I didn't hear Abontus's voice and I was like, ooh, I'm going to mention this tomorrow night. You are getting called out, friend.
He's like, I went to
Oh, anyway.
Esoterics that doesn't have a voice.
Exposed.
You can also you can find the best tutorials to Destiny on Ebontis' YouTube channel.
Yes.
So go there.
Yes.
Also, you'll find lots of ads for advanced.gg, which I hear is a powder you can turn into a liquid and then drink it out of a cup. So if you like to put wet things down your mouth hole, I highly recommend Ebontis.
There's a lot of jokes there, buddy. There's a lot of jokes there.
Wow. He did it. He took it there.
Cog, where can they find you next week? What state are you gonna be in?
Derailed.
Derail? Yeah, we went.
We just we did that. That's
we did that thing.
I'm sorry to the audience for everything you heard in the last 60 seconds. Please disregard that from the. Can I have that
give
stricken?
him a disclaimer? We here at the last.
We here at the last word do not condone the words of Travis McClunky Northup, but we thank you for your time.
Oh man, salute to the fam. It was another great one, passionate, a lot of stuff going on, breaking down the mechanics of everything. Teddy's the homie's always good. You know what I mean? This is an extension. This is like party chats. This is what we do. So salute to everybody. Yeah, man, you already know me, Lord Cognito on Twitter and all that good stuff. Catch me on Last Stand Media. Thanks for the Defining Duke support. Really means a lot. I've been seeing a lot of people put the little hashtags and the tweets and stuff like that. Maddie's an absolute beast. My man, but he ain't no E, but he you know,
he's working. He's out there working, man. Maddie is definitely putting in work too.
I'm just amazed as an older person. I'm like, damn, like I feel like an antiquated podcasting model. I'm like, you guys are the new, you know, say like if they're this young doing this well, like what the hell? So I feel obsolete, but I salute. And of course, Iron Lords podcast. No ILP this Sunday because obviously I will be going away. Me and Solve will be there as well, but we will still give y'all something. We have kind of a personal, kind of like roundtable where we had the fans and the Patreons ask us real questions about other things besides games. So that will be debuting in the spot this Sunday, 1 p.m. Check that out. It will be fun. And then, of course, the last word. Travis, the Tie Guy, the Cheetah, back in the building, man. It's always fun. This is a lot of stuff going on. Destiny. It's a fun time. And it's always good to talk to the homie. So, what is going on with you, sir? And by the way, I retweet your videos and I watch them just for the record.
Me too.
You know, unlike these heathens, some of the
I watched them twice just to pump up those numbers.
You're just sitting there. You got like two computers. One's just playing in the background. Thanks for the background views. Appreciate the love.
There you go.
No, honestly, like it's been busy for me for like guides and things. Gonna work on a leveling guide because honestly, that type of stuff, people will fall into this season because it's so long all season. So it's definitely going to be it's going to be a season of like trying to cover lots of different things. And then just obviously seeing what happens around December. But I mean, right now it's just there's weekly guides over where the Ascendant Anchors are, where the SKUs are, where everything is in the Shattered Realm. And then, you know, a couple things in there, which Lost Sector pops up as an easy one to farm. It's always something to usually do on for a little while. At some point it'll run out. But for now, on a random note, I did figure out who at some point I got to kind of reach out. I figured out who has the word cheetah as their Twitter handle.
We doing it?
Oh no, I'm not taking it. I just got to shout the guy out at some. It's Tyreek Hill for the Chiefs. Because he is.
Oh yeah, he's literally
he's literally like the fastest guy in the NFL. And I was like, I saw him because my wife's a Chiefs fan, and somehow like fell through my Twitter feed. I was like, wait, at Cheetah. I'm like, damn. So I was like, all right. But yeah, other than that, you know. Consuming that advanced set. No, I'm just kidding. I had to do it for Travis's sake on that one.
Don't forget to enter the code Ebontis for 10% off at checkout.
Thanks, Travis.
There you go, buddy. Gotta pay the bills. Gotta keep the lights over there.
Indeed, yeah. But yeah, for me, you guys might see me.
In my case, the light's flickering.
Yeah, no, my electricity. It's I'm having trouble. No, but thank you guys all very much. Of course, Teddy, pleasure to have you for the bonus. Yeah. Always have fun. I like your grounded approach, but there's like a strong opinion behind your very level tone.
Yes.
You're like, I have strong opinions, but I have to deliver it in a very soothing ASMR tone. It fits quite well, and always appreciate that. But Travis, of course,
I'm like the opposite of you.
Yeah, you can see
screeching into the mic.
You guys balance each other out, and then Cog and I, of course, always bounce off of each other.
We're like the light in the dark.
Yeah,
and the line between us is so very thin.
So
The
very
line is very thin as I'm looking at it right
We
now.
have no line between us.
It's about 6
touching
pixels,
flesh.
maybe 7. Not sure. As somebody has a construction truck backing up
Someone's
right
got a
now.
dump truck back in
That
there.
is me.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, damn, it ain't me this time.
Oh, I thought I was gonna call Cog out, and I was like,
Yep,
oh.
he's ready to get me. I'm like, nope.
He's got that sure mic. Sorry, guys. I think they're saying back this podcast up.
Probably back it up to the end. So we'll right at 3 hours, guys, for the recording. Thank you, chat, so much, very much. Thanks for supporting the switch over to YouTube. We will keep this thing going for many reasons. It seems to work pretty well. So thank you guys all for hanging out here on the channel for episode number 164.2. Teddy, Travis, and Cog, thank you, gentlemen, very much for hanging tonight. For everybody in chat, thank you all. And for this episode, it has been the last word.